नमस्कार, गुड मॉर्निंग। हेल्थ फॉर ऑल में आपका स्वागत है। आज हम वैक्सीनेशन के विभिन्न नमस्कार, गुड मॉर्निंग। हेल्थ फॉर ऑल में आपका स्वागत है। आज हम वैक्सीनेशन किसी पहेली की गुत्थी सुलझाने की कोशिश करेंगे। कई जाने माने डॉक्टर हमारे मन में उठने वाले सवालों के जवाब देंगे। हमारा ये शो इस समय यूट्यूब और फेसबुक पर लाइव देखा जा सकता है और ये लाइव शो अभी से 11 बजे तक जारी रहेगा। आज के कार्यक्रम
नमस्कार, गुड मॉर्निंग। हेल्थ फॉर ऑल
ज्ञानवर्धक मैसेजेस से करेंगे।
आज हम
इस साल हमें और आगे हमें करेंगे कैसे रहना है, जाने माने क्या डूज हैं और क्या डोंट्स हैं। तो पेश है बेस्ट ऑफ हेल्थ रेजोल्यूशंस।
नमस्कार, मैं डॉक्टर अमिताभ गुप्ता, PSRI हॉस्पिटल सीनियर कंसल्टेंट न्यूरोसर्जन। मैं आपको ये कहता हूँ कि अपने आप को स्वस्थ रखिए, साथ में अपने जो कहते हैं मानसिक स्वास्थ्य है उसका भी ध्यान रखिए। इसके लिए ज़रूरी है कि रात में आप सोने से पहले 1 घंटे मोबाइल या किसी भी प्रकार के इलेक्ट्रॉनिक डिवाइस से डिटैच होकर रहें और आपस में अपने परिवार से कम आधा घंटा, चाहे वो आपकी वाइफ हैं या आपके हस्बैंड हैं और आपके बच्चे हैं, उनसे मिलकर वो समय स्पेंड करें। ये बहुत आवश्यक है। धन्यवाद।
Anyways, we are hearing a lot about the screen damage that is being done to an individual. And when it is a child, the neurons are anyway synapsing at a very, very high speed. So the screen is actually debilitating that neuronal connections, because of which there are deficits that are being seen. An absentia of social communication and more communication with the screen is definitely detrimental and should be avoided to the maximum. Screen time should be used in moderation. So we are saying that yes, screen is an important way of communicating in times of today, but it needs to be balanced out with other forms of communication. And again, as adults, I think we need to take the responsibility of this guidance. So for instance, if you are seeing that the child is not in a balanced or in a holistic way managing his life, which would mean, yes, he may be using screen for his online classes. So we can supplement it with doing something else for his extracurricular. So we don't need to put him onto a hobby which is also through the screen. We can put him onto some hobby, some play, some extracurricular which can be away from the screen. There can be some form of gaming that can be real-time gaming, because gaming also is a very, very screen-oriented process in times of today, because children don't have other ways of entertaining themselves. So if we can even use a playtime at home, which can be within the family, or it can be individually loaded to the child, with many individual games also that come about. There are a lot of intelligent games, including simple ones like puzzles, like Sudoku, etc., which can be played individually. And there are other very simple games like Ludo, Snakes and Ladders, Scrabble, a lot of games like this. And in fact, there was a research which said that Ludo was one of the most sought after games online during the pandemic 2021. If we can translate a lot of this in real-time playtime, it would be very good. Allow the children to move out of the house, but with proper precautions. So have a balance so that, we are able to socially connect with them, and there is a real-time communication happening, in which also as adults, I think we should give an active listening to our children. When our children want to speak, we should, start with open-ended questions, not in which there are monosyllabic answers that yes or no. For example, a lot of times we would ask, would you like to eat? So the answer would be yes or no. So engage in a conversation. What would you like to eat? This is a food pyramid. Explain to them, out of this food pyramid, this is what we can do, which would add a lot of immunity to ourselves. So engage in a conversation with your child. That would encourage him or her to engage back in a conversation with you. The conversations itself are becoming very, very limited, and thereby we are seeing communication deficits also develop. And yes, it has a direct correlation with autism spectrum as a diagnosis.
I am Dr. Kadam Nagpal, a neurologist from PSRI Hospital. The message what I give for everyone, my patients with neurological disorders and the population at large, is to stay fit, keep safe, especially in the times of this third wave threat looming at large in front of us. We need to stay safe and simultaneously indulge in all kind of fitness activities like yoga, whatever we can do back at home in order to achieve a good state of mind and a proper health. Thank you.
नमस्कार, मैं डॉक्टर सरिता शर्मा, सीनियर कंसल्टेंट पेडियाट्रिशियन पुष्पावती सिंघानिया हॉस्पिटल में, और बच्चों के लिए मैं आपको ये सुझाव देना चाहूँगी कि बच्चों में आप खान पान, उनकी फिजिकल एक्टिविटी का काफ़ी ख्याल रखें, क्योंकि कोविड टाइम में बच्चों ने सबसे ज़्यादा सफ़र किया है लॉकडाउन के कारण। वो घर के अंदर ऑनलाइन क्लासेस कर रहे हैं और उनकी फिजिकल एक्टिविटी काफ़ी कम हो गई है, तो हमें इन सब बातों का ख्याल रखना है। जहाँ तक वैक्सीन की बात है, वैक्सीन अभी 15 साल से ऊपर बच्चों के लिए गवर्नमेंट ने उपलब्ध करा दी है, और आने वाले समय में मैं ये उम्मीद रखती हूँ कि छोटे बच्चों के लिए भी वैक्सीन आ जाएंगी। और जब तक हमारे पास वैक्सीन नहीं है, तब तक हमें अपने बच्चों को मास्क लगाने की संपूर्ण जानकारी देनी होगी, और उन सभी को हमें हैंड हाइजीन की भी लाभदायक जानकारी सारी बतानी होगी, ताकि वो कोविड से सुरक्षित रहें।
All the patients, I strongly suggest that there's in the studies that have been recently documented and in our own data, 15 to 30% of the patients are affected by what we call as the post-COVID-19 syndrome. This can manifest in 5 ways. One is chest pain. Second is simple breathlessness. The third one is some level of palpitations and dizziness, what we call as syncope and pre-syncope. All these patients who are having these kind of symptoms are and must immediately go and visit the doctor, because these are the patients who are having more chances of having an effect on the heart. But I suggest that all the patients, even if they are recovered, they must have a direct evaluation of the heart. And third thing is, all the patients who have suffered from moderate to severe COVID, 80 to 90% have underlying heart damage. So they should also have a baseline evaluation of the heart. In case the baseline evaluation yields some kind of dysfunction, my suggestion is that they should follow up their doctor every 6 months. But if the baseline evaluation of the heart shows a normal function, then probably a long-term or a routine follow-up of cardiac checkup is not needed in these patients.
Yeah, next question is COVID scare was a major factor in lesser hospitalization for heart failure and heart attacks. However, available data indicate now that significantly higher mortality due to these ailments than due to COVID. Your comments?
Definitely. There is no doubt about it. Remember, what was happening in the COVID in India particularly was because of the lockdown, many of the seriously ill patients who are manifesting acute heart attack or who are having severe heart failure were unable to reach even their peripheral center. So the data that we actually have for causing the mortality is actually biased and actually not true. There were many patients who were dying because of the collateral damage that was happening. Remember, even today, the deaths because of COVID were significant. It was a high impact, but still the mortalities due to acute heart attack and heart failure were significantly high. Even our own hospital witnessed significant increase in presentations of the acute myocardial infarction. So it is very pertinent that while we are taking care of these illnesses, COVID is acting like and especially in those patients who are having comorbidities like diabetes, like hypertension, like obesity, all these patients are more likely to develop more severe complications like heart failure and also chances of an acute heart attack or acute myocardial infarction. So in case you have any of these symptoms, in case you have any kind of these problems, it is very pertinent to immediately report to the hospital. There is no doubt in the largest registry that we have conducted along with Cardiological Society of India, we have clearly documented the underreporting. Still, the myocardial infarctions and heart failure were significantly high in the COVID time. It was only because of the underreporting that we were not able to get the exact data. It is very important. COVID is a very severe disease. It can create such a level of immune damage, and if the immune response is triggered, it will practically destroy and lead to catastrophic complications both on the heart muscle as well as on the rhythms of the heart.
I'm Dr. Neetu Jain. I'm Senior Consultant in Pulmonary Medicine and Intensive Care at PSRI Hospital. So as a pulmonologist, a chest doctor, I would tell you to be safe, follow hand hygiene, follow wearing a mask all the time, and protect yourself from COVID, which is coming again for us. Second, then you have to protect your lung health by not smoking, by doing breathing exercise, adopting some yoga exercise, and keeping up with your medication and visiting your doctor in case you have any problem. तो अगर आपकी सांस की प्रॉब्लम बढ़ती है या फिर आपको लगता है कि ठीक हो रही है, दवाई बदलनी है, इस मौसम में जबकि कोविड भी बढ़ रहा है, तो आपको डॉक्टर की सलाह के अनुसार ही चलना चाहिए. अगर आप स्मोकिंग करते हैं तो न्यू ईयर पे रेजोल्यूशन बनाइए कि ये आपको छोड़ना है. ऐसे भी दिल्ली में और इंडिया में, नॉर्थ इंडिया में बहुत ज़्यादा एयर पोल्यूशन है, हम सबको एक्सपोजर है, उसके ऊपर स्मोकिंग करना आपके सेहत के लिए बहुत बहुत हानिकारक है.
Resilience is very nice that we spring back. You know, if you saw the Diwali festivals both the years, resilience is very good that we are getting back to work. The trouble is if the resilience becomes carefreeness, because the danger is not over yet. Scientifically, epidemiology will tell us. And so, like you said in the previous episode, to repeat very briefly, fear, apprehension, whatever traumatic experience needs to be channelized to being responsible. We need to be responsibly behaving. What all will it include? 1, healthy diet and food habits. 2, physical activity, appropriate physical activity. I'll come back to that in terms of COVID positive recovering person. But appropriate physical activity. Avoid or reduce tobacco and alcohol. Most importantly, remain psychologically as positive and well as you can. But I went through a COVID positive state. And I can tell you, science tells us, and I can tell you from experience, for 3 to 4 months, there is the experience of long COVID. There are different terms being used. There will be physical, there may be lack of will, there may be those combine psychological and physical symptoms at least for a few months. And I do believe, individually, clinically, and I think science is beginning to emerge, some, at least if not more than some of the unexplained sudden cardiac deaths in people after they became positive and recovered is because people were trying to get back to physical exercise of the previous level. And that is being one danger. That's never good. So you need to get back to physical activity in a very graded manner. People who are COVID positive and who have any comorbidity, obviously be very, very careful. There is no end to caution there. But most importantly, as we refer to persons with mental illness, how do PMIs with COVID positive state rehabilitate themselves, or how do family or clinical teams help them? People with long-standing mental illnesses who already had and who are on treatment, when they had COVID, there was a different set of problems. Now, how do you handle their rehab? People who developed syndromal, significant depression, anxiety, or stress syndrome because of COVID, who were not suffering from mental illness earlier, but who developed mental illness during the COVID period, how do they rehabilitate? Less of medicines, more of counseling and psychosocial support, more of healthy lifestyle, but monitoring that recurrence is possible. Let's remember that for people with pre-existing mental illness or people who develop new disorder, with the continuing threat and all the social hype that goes on, recurrences and relapses are common. And so the first thing we need to be aware of is to make sure that we pick up people who are in need of help.
Good morning and welcome. Namaskar. I'm Shankar Raj, President of Heal Foundation. It's a wonderful Sunday, and we start this session with a wonderful yoga session. Also, let me remind our viewers that we are live on Facebook and YouTube. And in this live demo, our yoga expert will explain the nuances and importance of Mudra Yoga. For this, we have with us Ms. Mahati Vispute, a yoga trainer and therapist. She has been a yoga enthusiast for the past 10 years, now starting with silence, that is only meditating, for 3 days to training in asanas for about 6 hours a day. She became a full-time trainer at Yoga Darshanam in Mysuru in Karnataka. She's also a volunteer at Sri Sri Ravi Shankar's Art of Living organization in Bengaluru and takes yoga therapy at Arogya Physiotherapy Medex Hospital, Bengaluru. Over to you, Ms. Mahati. We have time till 8:50. I know you're a stickler to time, so that we can ask a couple of questions. Over to you.
Namaste. Thank you so much for calling me here. So today we're going to learn about Mudra Yoga. Yeah, it's a limb of yoga which is slightly less explored because asanas, many people know, Surya Namaskar meditation is very widespread across the world right now. But Mudra Yoga is slightly less known. So we're going to talk about that today. Something that we all must have heard is yoga is to be done for 24 hours. योगा मतलब इतनी सुंदर कला है, आप क्यों चाहोगे कि दिन में सिर्फ 1 घंटा करो या फिर शाम को आधा घंटा करो? सही है ना? If you want to do yoga, you should be doing it, experiencing it, experiencing its benefits, its aura for the entire day. So Mudra Yoga is where yoga can help you throughout the day. Yeah, understanding our lifestyle, wherein we don't have time for our own work, we can't be doing yoga the entire day. But Mudra Yoga is very simple. Yeah, so let's first try to understand what it is. Yeah, Mudra meaning a gesture. Or if you have even watched classical dances, mudras are done even there. Okay, it's a form of expression. Yeah. So in yoga, what Mudra Yoga does is that you either have hand gestures, which you can do while you are sitting, while you are just taking a walk, or while you are even listening to some light music, or even before meditation, before you can fall into the state of meditation, you could be doing Mudra Yoga and breathing exercises together. Yeah. So today, what we're going to understand is a couple of mudras which you can do any time of the day, any time when you don't have to be specifically concentrating. You just have to take out 5 minutes from your day, 4 times, 5 times a day, so that you can practice these yoga mudras. Yeah. Most importantly, let's first understand कि ये मुद्रा कैसे काम करती है. You are sitting, let's say, in Chin Mudra. Okay, काफी लोग meditation के वक्त Chin Mudra में बैठते हैं. ये इसी मुद्रा में you sit down on in either Vajrasan, Padmasan, and then you do the meditation. लेकिन इससे होता क्या है? Yeah, it's actually very simple logic. Okay, energy in our body is like electric waves, or it's like if you are doing Chin Mudra, you're creating an electric loop. It's a loop of energy. तो अगर आपकी जो फिंगर टिप्स हैं, यहाँ पे सारी नर्व एंडिंग्स हैं, समझ रहे आप? उसके बाद अगर आप इस मुद्रा में है, you are creating an energy loop which reuses, or even at times in mudras, it re-energizes the energy within your body. Yes, so it's very well thought of. And there's some mudras that we're going to look at right now, okay, which you can absolutely do any time of the day, and it's very simple. Okay, for our lifestyle, okay, we're going to go through like a schedule of 4 mudras that you can do. Okay, starting with the first one. First thing when you wake up in the morning, yeah, first few minutes when you become conscious of being alive, you should be doing something for your mind. काफी लोग कहते हैं कि सवेरे उठने के बाद पहली चीज आप करो कि आप प्रार्थना करो, or you could be meditative, just sit in meditation for some time. then it is best to be doing Chin Mudra. Yeah, Chin Mudra, Jnana Mudra. It's called in different names in certain places. So if you're doing Chin Mudra, it is best for concentration. It is for your mind. It is to prepare you for the entire day. So when you wake up, आप सवेरे उठे हैं, चिन मुद्रा कुछ मिनटों के लिए, मतलब आपको ये नहीं कि बहुत देर मेडिटेशन करना है. Just have to sit with this mudra for, let's say, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. As you start experiencing the change in your body, you will yourself want to sit for some more time. Yeah. So you're starting with Chin Mudra. First one done. Second one, if you're done with your first meal, let's say breakfast is done, lunch is done. After that, your body is using a lot of energy in digesting the food that you have eaten. So it is important to do something for your digestive system. For that, it is Samana Mudra. Okay? Samana Mudra is where all the elements of your body are balanced because you're connecting all the fingertips together. हाँ, समाना मुद्रा एक्चुअली भारतीय संस्कृति इतनी सुंदर है कि जहां हम खाना हाथ से खाते हैं, आप खुद से ही समाना मुद्रा कर रहे हैं. So actually, if you're eating with your hand, you don't have to be sitting in Samana Mudra after that. Yeah, but it is nice. A lot of times we're not eating with our hand. So if we can do Samana Mudra after having food, let's say in the afternoon, you'll sit in Samana Mudra, you'll be helping your own digestive system. Okay. After this, we're moving on to next. Adha din ho gaya. Okay. Somewhere we are slowly losing our energy, slowly coming down. You're feeling like it's the end of the day. That is when you can use Prithvi Mudra. Okay, it is ring finger and your thumb. Ring finger and your thumb. This is called Prithvi Mudra. Or this is basically for keeping your body in shape. Okay, you have it is for your physical body. It is to strengthen your bones. It is to keep you in good shape. But most importantly, it's like a refresh button to your body. Okay, this button works a little slow. Okay, ये नहीं कि आपने एक बार करा refresh हो गया. You have to wait for some time. Yeah, it has to be 10 minutes, 20 minutes of just sitting in this mudra. Okay, so Prithvi Mudra is going to be your refresh button by the end of the day when you're like, even at like 4:30, 5:30 in the evening. Last one that we are going to be speaking about now is called Prana Mudra. Now, in Mudra Yoga, if you are given any set of mudras to do, okay, काफी बार ये होता है कि आपको ऐसी मुद्राएं दी जाती है जो आपकी लाइफस्टाइल के लिए, आपके हेल्थ के लिए, आपके लिए स्पेसिफिकली जो अच्छा है, उसके लिए आपको कुछ मुद्राएं दी जाएंगी. But all of them, you have to end them with Prana Mudra. Okay, Prana Mudra is for your prana. It's for your soul. It's for your entire body together. Okay, and it is supposed to be your ending. Okay, conclusion. Okay, any mudra, if you're doing, or any set of mudras you're doing, the conclusion has to be Prana Mudra. So you will be sitting in this ring finger, little finger, and thumb. These three together, other fingers, you try to keep them straight. This is Prana Mudra. Okay, by the end of the day, okay, it is best actually if you can chant Gayatri Mantra 21 times in this mudra. ये नहीं कि गायत्री मंत्र ही करना है. If अगर आप मतलब दिन के बाद थोड़ा शायद, if you're having an early dinner also, after the early dinner, you can sit down for some time. प्राण मुद्रा में बैठिए, कुछ जप कर रहे हैं, थोड़ा सा मेडिटेशन कर रहे हैं, या फिर सिर्फ शांति से बैठ रहे हैं. प्राण मुद्रा, yeah, it will really cleanse your body, your soul. Beautiful mudra. Now, the mudras that I told you, these four, okay, Just a short recap of it. First one, Chin Mudra, early in the morning. Second one, Samana Mudra, after you have had 1 meal, 2 meals. Okay. Third one, Prithvi Mudra, refresh button. Fourth one, Prana Mudra. Let's get back to our soul. Yeah. Very simple mudras, and these that I'm telling are like set scheduled for a modern lifestyle. Yeah, all of us are going through a lifestyle where you can be doing these mudras. But there are some rules to doing any mudra. Okay, we're going to go through the rules now. First one, you have to be emotionally available. Okay, मतलब आप अगर मुद्रा कर रहे हैं तो सोचिए कि मुद्रा कर रहे हो. हाँ, आपको बैठना है. ये okay, actually ये नहीं कि आपको बैठना ही है. Let's say you're going for a walk. 10 मिनट का वॉक है, आप बस चल रहे हैं, तो normally you just leave your hands free and you're walking. But what if you did a mudra? Let's say आपने लंच करा है, उसके बाद मतलब थोड़ा सा वॉक करने के लिए जा रहे हैं, कि 5-10 मिनट चल रहे हैं आप. Samana Mudra, you just walking in this mudra. It can do a lot to you. But you have to think, you have to say कि मन में आप सोचिए कि आप याद रखिए कि आपने ये मुद्रा पकड़ी हुई है, ये मुद्रा आपके लिए है. आपको शांति से, आपको बहुत गहराई से इसके बारे में सोचना है. Yeah, you shouldn't be stressful. You're in the middle of a meeting और आप चिन्ह मुद्रा के बैठे हुए, फायदा नहीं होने वाला. शांति से बैठिए. ओके, मीटिंग से बाहर जाइए, कुछ देर बैठिए, चिन्ह मुद्रा में बैठ सकते हैं. You bring back your concentration, you calm yourself down, then maybe get back to work again. Yeah. So this is first. You have to be emotionally available. Second one. Okay, जब आप मुद्राएं कर रहे हैं, okay, I told you it is a electric loop. It's like a circuit. हाँ, तो what you're doing is you're touching the fingertips. Okay, and ये नहीं कि आप एकदम जोर से पकड़िए, ये नहीं कि कोई मुद्रा बताइए तो एकदम very stiff when you're holding it. हाथ मतलब कांपने लग जाता है, इतनी जोर से नहीं पकड़ना है. Okay, you just have to bring it close. The energy flows on its own. When you're, let's say, holding these two fingers, other fingers you try to keep them straight. लेकिन ये भी नहीं है कि एकदम strictly straight रख. No, you have to keep them loose. Very simple. Honestly, a lot of these mudras are actually taken from babies. Okay, आप एकदम छोटे बच्चों को सोते हुए देखिए, they sleep like this. Okay, even this is a mudra. Okay, this mudra actually increases a lot of oxygen in your body. Now, these are very small things, and the baby is not doing it consciously. Correct. It is happening very naturally. So these mudras will also happen very naturally to you. You do not have to force them. You're holding it. It's okay, hold it. You feel like your fingers are losing slightly apart. Okay, you're holding Samana Mudra, and then after some time you get tired of the mudra. So you just leave it slowly. Okay, if that is happening, it's very natural and it's fine. Yeah, if you are doing a mudra, for you, for the connection to build, it will take at least 20 seconds, half a minute for that to happen. Give it at least 2 minutes for your body to become used to the energy flow, for you to consciously understand that there is some energy that is flowing through you. After that, try to hold for for a longer amount of time. 5 minute बैठिए, 10 minute बैठिए. When you start getting used to it और आपको लग रहा है कि अच्छा है, इससे फायदा हो रहा है. Okay, this will even take weeks. It will take months. It might take even a year to even realize कि इससे कितना फायदा हो रहा है. सही है. So you have to give it time. It is not like a button. Yeah, you have to hold it. You have to stay. And most importantly, you have to believe in this energy. Yeah. So second one, don't force it. Okay, just fingertips touching, and when you are touching, It is the edge of the fingertips. जहाँ पे नाखून के नीचे जो जगह होती है, that end you have to connect. Okay. Now that we know we have to be emotionally available, we know how much longer we have to be. Okay, you can do these even in different points of your day and combine it with other things. ये होता है हम when we're doing breathing exercises also, we're doing mudras. We are doing different mudras depending on which breathing exercise we're doing. हाँ, so मुद्राएं वहां पे भी होती है जब आप मेडिटेशन कर रहे हैं. मेडिटेशन के वक्त भी अलग अलग मुद्राएं हैं जो आप जिसमें आप मेडिटेट कर सकते हैं. And which one works for you, what you want, you can then choose and then decide which is a mudra that is good for my meditation. Yeah, so it is there in meditation. आसन करते वक्त भी अगर आप देखिए ताड़ासन में आप ऊपर नमस्कार करके फिर ऊपर हाथ कर रहे. ओके, इवन दिस इज अ मुद्रा. इट्स अंजलि मुद्रा. जब आप नमस्ते करते हैं, it's actually अंजलि मुद्रा that you are doing. Yes, so you can use mudras in different places. Even when you are learning classical dance, it is also taught there because it's a form of an expression. Yes, so choose where you want to use your mudras. Choose which ones you want to do. Okay. अब मैंने आपको मुद्राओं के बारे में इतना बताया है, कितनी एनर्जी है. But is this energy really there? Are you really feeling that energy? You know, is there any proof? आप क्या कर सकते? Yeah, a very simple exercise, and this you should, you can, if you are just working on a laptop या फिर बहुत ही मतलब अलग सा काम करके अचानक से अगर आप मेडिटेशन करने वाली है या फिर आप मुद्राएं करने वाली है, तो बेस्ट केस rub your palms. Okay, rub your palms 10 seconds, 20 seconds until your entire palm should feel the vibration, every single part of it. Okay, you keep rubbing. Actually, it's nice. You can try now also. Okay, keep rubbing until you can feel it across your palm. Now, when you stop, slowly move your palms away. एकदम धीरे से हाथों को अलग करके, थोड़ा थोड़ा धीरे से. Yeah? Did you feel some bit of energy? तो ऐसे लग रहा है जैसे कुछ खींच रहा है लेकिन खींच नहीं रहा. That is the energy we are speaking about. Okay, this is very dynamic. इसलिए आपको समझ में आ रहा. When you're doing just this in sitting, maybe you won't realize it. Yeah, but it is really happening within your body. And this exercise is actually very good because जैसे ना मतलब हम अगर अलग सा काम कर रहे हैं, जैसे कुछ लिख ही रहे हैं या फिर लैपटॉप पे ही काम कर रहे हैं, तो your palms become little numb, little जैसे जान नहीं है उनमें. तो when you do this, it energizes all the points in your palm, gives them some energy, something to do. And then you start doing a mudra, you can actually feel it there. Okay, थोड़ा सा आपको भी जोश आएगा क्योंकि then you can feel a little bit of an energy. Yeah, you don't always have to do this. If you want, you can. Yeah. Now we are actually done with the basics of mudra. And to teach you anything else, okay, मुद्राएं इतनी सारी होती है. You can have painkiller mudra. There is mudra for those who have thyroid, for those who have heart problems, for those who have some sort of an injury. It always helps to know a mudra which will work for you, because you have to take a medicine. मतलब आपकी ट्रीटमेंट चल रही है, आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम है, आप उसके लिए कुछ तो आपको करना ही पड़ेगा. But there is energy in your body which you can direct to help you with that. Okay, so any other mudra that I will teach you later some other time will be very specific to the disease or the situation. But there is one more set of mudras that I can teach you. Okay, very simple. The first set is actually difficult to remember कि कौन से वाले में क्या करना है. The one I will teach you now is going to be very simple. Okay, let's say कि अगर आप दिन में आधा घंटा 40 मिनट वॉक करते हैं, okay, then if you're simply walking, and imagine if you can do a mudra that is going to actually direct your energy and balance your entire body. Okay, उसी 40 मिनट में बस आपको मुद्राएं पकड़नी है जिससे आपकी बॉडी बैलेंस हो जाएगी. इसमें अगर कोई भी हल्का सा एनर्जी बैलेंस हो तो ठीक हो जाएगा. ओके, सो स्टार्टिंग विद बेसिक्स. ओके, हमारी जो 5 उंगलियां हैं, ये 5 उंगलियां, वही 5 उंगलियां, दीज रिप्रेजेंट 5 एलिमेंट्स इन नेचर. ओके, हम बात कर रहे हैं अग्नि, वायु, आकाश, पृथ्वी और जल. Okay, I had to read through actually, but so these are the 5 elements of your body and which are available in nature. Okay, अगर ये 5 elements आपकी बॉडी में बैलेंस्ड है, अगर वो ठीक से काम कर रही है, then your body is going to be absolutely fine. Yeah, even very small things, जैसे मतलब अगर काफी सारी diseases हैं. Okay, not giving you examples right now, but we're talking about basics. But अगर आप में आपकी बॉडी में कुछ है जो मतलब खटक रहा है, it is going to be same. It is going to reflect in the 5 elements in your body. So to balance these in terms of energy, okay, अगर आपके you have to take care of your diet, you have to take your medication, you have to be doing yogasanas and breathing exercises. This is just an add-on which you can do because it is not costing you any extra time, effort, energy or anything too much. Yeah. So, okay, आपका 40 मिनट का वॉक है. Okay, what you're going to do is 10 मिनट के लिए you're going to do different mudras. First one. Okay, this is Agni. Okay, actually I find it difficult to hold without bending this finger. काफी लोगों के साथ होता भी होगा ये. So it's okay if you have to bend the other finger also. Yeah, this is Agni. You have balanced the Agni in your body. Second, 10 minutes. This is you have done for 10 minutes. You're going to the next 10 minutes, Vayu Mudra. Hold this. You're walking 10 minutes. Next, Akasha Mudra. 10 minutes, you're walking. Let that happen. Last, you're going to Prithvi Mudra. 10 minutes and you're walking. Your thumb is Jala Mudra. Okay, your thumb will help you balance all the others. So, you will go through a process of 1, 2, 3, 4. Slowly for, let's say you start with 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 and then 5. Then move it to 10 because you're balancing all the natures in your body. Now, if you have gone to an Ayurvedic doctor, you can ask them if what sort of a nature of your body is. Vata, Pitta, Kapha. So, depending on the nature of your body, then you can decide which mudra you have to do for a longer period of time. But in general, for anybody, you can do these 4 mudras for some time equally. हाँ कि 10 मिनट कर रहे हैं तो 10, 10, 10, 10. और मैंने पहले बताया था, we do one mudra which is towards the end of every set of mudra. Prana Mudra. Yeah. After you finish 1, 2, 3, 4, you will move to Prana Mudra, which is this ring finger, little finger and thumb. Keep these together and you can conclude your Mudra Yoga for that set. Okay, तो जैसे अगर आप जो पहली की 4 मुद्राएं मैंने बताई थी, ओके, उनमें भी जैसे अगर आपने समाना मुद्रा करी, कुछ देर करिए, आपने सोचा कि आप 10 मिनट करेंगे, ओके, डू इट फॉर से 7 मिनट्स. इसके बाद चेंज टू प्राण मुद्रा एंड देन सिट डाउन. यू कैन इवन डू दैट. हाँ, कि अगर आपको लग रहा है कि आज पेट थोड़ा सा खराब है या फिर लेटर यू गोइंग टू बी बिजी, दूसरी मुद्राएं नहीं होने वाली, तो लेट्स से यू आर गोइंग टू डू ओनली दिस, समाना मुद्रा करिए, बैठिए कुछ देर के लिए, उसके बाद स्विच टू प्राण मुद्रा एंड देन सिट डाउन. Very important for us to first understand that जितनी ऊर्जा हमारे हमारे माइंड, हमारी सोल तक जाएंगे, जैसे हमारे प्राणों तक पहुंचेंगी, उतनी ऊर्जा आप इस पृथ्वी पे ला सकते हैं. आप उतनी ऊर्जा आपके आजू बाजू, you can build like one field of energy around you. Yeah, so when you do these mudras, when you keep practicing them, okay, आपकी जो आजू बाजू एनर्जी है, in English we'll say aura. Okay, अभी मुझे हिंदी शब्द याद नहीं आ रहा. So the aura around you will increase. Yeah, it's जैसे जो बहुत मेडिटेशन करते हैं, कि बहुत, मतलब दिन आप हर रोज मेडिटेट करिए, हर रोज अगर आप मुद्रा की प्रैक्टिस करें, your energy is going to increase. It's going to be like a bubble that you form around yourself. Yeah, and this energy is going to help your body. तो अगर आपको और कोई मुद्राएं चाहिए, तो you have to go to an Ayurvedic doctor, ask them to test your pulse, you understand what is good for your body, and then you choose your mudras. Otherwise, these two sets anybody can do any time of the day. So I think I wrapped it up too fast today.
No problem. We'll ask you a couple of questions. There are a lot of questions actually. Ms. Putte, I'll ask my co-anchor Kishore to start off, and then I'll come. Kishore,
yes,
your questions.
Thank you, sir. महिती जी, मेरा पहला सवाल है, आपने समान मुद्रा की बात की लंच या डिनर के बाद करने के लिए. एक तो ये बताइए कि ये लंच और डिनर के कितनी देर बाद करें, क्या तुरंत करें या थोड़ा गैप के साथ करें?
ओके.
और थोड़ा सा हमें एक बार जरा सा ये बता दीजिए कि डेमो करके कि किस तरह से करें.
हाँ, जरूर. I realized I didn't do that. Thank you so much. पहले क्वेश्चन के लिए, ओके, अगर आप तुरंत खाने के बाद अगर कभी मेडिटेशन करने बैठे, वेरी हाई चांसेस कि आपको झपकी लग जाएगी, ओके, नींद आ जाएगी. So you should wait for some time. Best is if you can go for a short walk, slowly just stroll around a little bit and then come back. तो तब आप समाना मुद्रा कर सकते हैं. If you're going to sit and do it, कुछ आधा घंटा या फिर just half an hour later or even 1 hour later is fine. There is no time restrictions to it, but I will still say 15-20 minute कि खाने को नीचे जाने दीजिए, then you can sit for the mudra. Okay. Now, how we sit for meditation? Okay, you normally sit with your cross legs. You can sit with Samana Mudra on your thighs. Okay, there are people who sit in Vajrasan after having food, which is supposed to be very good for your body. So you can sit in Samana Mudra like this also. Normally, in sitting positions, there are a couple of them. Okay, this is Vajrasan 1. Sukhasan 2, that we normally sit in. Ardha Padmasan 3. Purna Padmasan 4. These are different styles of meditation which a lot of people follow. whatever is comfortable for you. अगर आपको घुटनों में तकलीफ है और अगर आप नीचे नहीं बैठ सकते, then you sit on a chair. जब आप कुर्सी पे बैठे हैं, make sure कि आप कि your legs are touching the floor. Okay, मतलब ऐसे हवा में लटके हुए पैर, it is not good for your body. Yeah, so make sure you can keep your legs on the floor, sit down comfortably, and then you can do it.
आपने एक और जिक्र किया था पेट खराब होने की बात। अगर किसी का पेट खराब है तो क्या ये मुद्रा करना चाहिए, और अगर करते हैं तो क्या ये असरदार होता है?
Okay, so पेट खराब है, you can definitely do Samana Mudra. Okay, because it is going to balance the digestive system. Okay, लेकिन ये ऐसे नहीं है कि आप आज दोपहर को मुद्रा करिए, शाम तक पेट ठीक. Okay, that does not happen. Okay, because it's a flow of energy. It takes a lot of time. This is very useful across ages. मतलब अगर मैं 2-3 सालों से कर रही हूँ, my digestive system will be stronger now. Yeah, so it is not like मैंने आज करा 2-3 दिन में पेट ठीक. No, but asanas work faster. Last time I was taking some asanas and those asanas for our digestive system work faster. Okay, अगर आपने आज करा तो कल आपका पेट ठीक. Okay, you can be much better. हाँ, but mudras take long. Okay, when you practice these mudras, you have to have the patience for a few years.
मोहिती जी, एक और सवाल है मेरा आखिरी। आपने चिन्ह मुद्रा की बात की थी, तो मैं चाहता हूं कि हमारे दर्शकों को बताइए कि वो कैसे किया जाता है।
चिन्ह मुद्रा, ओके, इंडेक्स फिंगर एंड थंब. ओके, दूसरी सारी उंगलियां you try to keep them straight. थोड़ी देर के बाद मेडिटेशन में ऐसे हो जाता है कि उंगलियां ऐसे पास में आती. That is okay. You don't have to force it straight. Okay, when you're doing this, okay, tip of your fingers. अभी तो मेरे नाखून काफी थोड़े से बड़े हैं, but you're trying to touch the tip of your fingers, नाखूनों के नीचे जहाँ पे आपकी उंगली खत्म होती है. You're going to touch that. Okay, chin mudra, jnana mudra, okay, are very similar. There are some people who sit like this, some people who sit like this on their knees. जब आप घुटनों पे रख रहे हैं, कुछ लोग ऐसे बैठते हैं, कुछ लोग ऐसे. हाँ, there is a difference in energy and it can be different for different people. Okay, it's a longer study, तो हम बाद में बताएंगे. लेकिन ये है चिन्ह मुद्रा. अब नॉर्मली आकाश की तरफ अपने हाथ रखिए, घुटनों पे रखिए, and you can sit in चिन्ह मुद्रा. It's a very common practice for meditation. Yeah.
थैंक यू मोहिती जी, मुझे तो बड़ा ये आसान लग रहा है. हम कोशिश करेंगे करने का. मुश्किल मुद्रा से थोड़ा डर लगता है, लेकिन ये तो बहुत आसान लग रहा है. अब करने के बाद पता चलेगा. ओवर टू यू शंकर जी.
Thank you, Kishore. Mr. Spray, a basic question is, you said all these mudras are, coming to the fingertips and everything, but where is this particular source of energy in the body that comes onto your fingertips? Where does it start from? Is it the mind? Is it the brain? Where does it start from actually?
Okay. So in yoga, or actually there are, for energies, okay, there are different concepts across the world. In India, what we say is energy is always a circle. It's a loop. It is not created, not destroyed. Yeah, so energy is not starting somewhere. Energy is in your body. It's a field of energy. Okay, so you have nerves, you have a nervous system. It starts from your brain, it ends at your fingertips. So that is there in your physical body. But when you speak about an energy, it's a loop. Yeah, it is continuously there. So I don't think you can say it starts here and ends there.
Fine. Now, you demonstrated saying that, when you get up in the morning, you have to have this chin mudra done and other things. But in one of the previous episodes, also speakers said that when you get up early in the morning, first thing you have to do is, rub your hand and then put it on your face. So which comes first? Does that come first or the chin mudra comes first?
Yeah, okay. So, what I do is I wake up, I first pray, rub my palms, put in my eyes, and that is the first time I open my eyes. Yeah. And then I sit for meditation. Okay, but the process can be different for everybody. कुछ लोगों को ऐसे होता है कि आता है आंखें खोलने के बाद पहले आजू बाजू देख लो सब कुछ ठीक है या नहीं, फिर मन की शांति होती है, फिर हम बैठेंगे. Some people like to freshen up, go to the washroom, come back, find a good spot which is not their bed. Okay, मैं तो bed पे बैठ के कर दूँ. Some people like to take a corner which is quiet, sit on a yoga mat or a pillow and then do it. So you can find your own way. Yeah, but I think it works better if you do this, because I even said before you start mudra, you do this. आंखें खोलिए, then you sit for meditation. Thank you for the question. Actually, I'd never thought about this. So, yeah.
Okay. Now you explained all these energies, mudras, you start in the morning. I have a question. Suppose in the night you don't get sleep. Is there a mudra that can put you to sleep?
Actually, there is no mudra that I can tell you, because मतलब आपको सोचिए कि आपको ऐसे पकड़ के बैठना है या फिर सोना है, your mind goes to that. Okay, but what works very well is Ujjayi breath. Yeah, Ujjayi Shwasa. Okay, it is called the breath from your throat. Okay, जब सांस लेने में आपको आवाज आए, when you're deep breathing and you can hear the sound of waves. Okay, it is okay. I don't know if you could hear.
Yes, we could hear it. Yes.
Okay. So that sort of a sound calms your mind very quickly. So if you learn Ujjayi breath correctly, in around 7 to 10 breaths, you are asleep. Okay, you have to be asleep. Okay, it is the easiest way to fall into meditation. It is the easiest breathing exercise, which क्योंकि breathing exercise ये नहीं होता है कि आपको याद करके करनी है. It is a muscle memory. So when you know you're doing Ujjayi breath, your brain works on its own. You will feel calmer, can fall asleep. So later, maybe someday I can teach, or please Google it, YouTube it, or learn it from a trained yoga consultant or a trainer. Ujjayi breath will help you fall asleep.
Fine. And then another question is, you have been practicing this mudras for quite some time. How connected are these mudras with breathing? That is, do you have to be conscious that you're breathing? Is there a technique that you need to take a deep inhalation and then do the mudras, or is it connected or is it not connected?
Actually, so you can do just mudra, like you're walking, you're simply walking. You can be fast walking, slow walking, you can be jogging. Yeah, still you can do these mudras. You can also pair these mudras with breathing exercises, like when you do, Bhastrika. These are also mudras that you're doing. So depends, it can be connected, but if you're simply sitting and doing a mudra, let's say chin mudra, low, shallow breathing, calmly breathing helps. Yeah, ये करके मतलब आप एकदम stressfully अगर आप सांस ले रहे तो नहीं, you have to be emotionally available. You do it calmly.
Now, my last question to you is, you said that, when you do these mudras and you can feel the aura around you growing, or, you can feel it.
Yeah.
Now, you have been doing it for some time. So do you see that aura growing? And incidentally, I can see some light at the background of your head. I don't know whether it is an aura or the light.
It's the light.
Okay.
No.
So you have been feeling this aura grow, and how helpful has it been to you?
So I don't think I've come to a point where I can say ki my aura has grown and you come and stand near me, you will feel my energy. You have to be big people. Okay, जो हम योगी कहते हैं, जिन्हें हम meditation experts. Like we talk about Sri Ravi Shankar as Guruji, but actually he's like a yoga expert. No, he's like a scientist. So when you're around him, you might feel it next, you will feel him next to him. Okay. My personal experience, I will say, it's very psychological. Okay. अगर आप समाना मुद्रा करके बैठे हैं दोपहर को, नेक्स्ट डे मॉर्निंग यू बी लाइक, हाँ मैंने तो समाना मुद्रा करी थी, मेरा तो पेट ठीक है, मैं तो बहुत अच्छी हूँ, मैंने सवेरे चिन मुद्रा करी थी, मेरा कंसंट्रेशन तो अच्छा है, माय माइंड इज वेरी फ्री. You know, this is the thought process that mudras, induce in your mind. Okay, so it's like a play of game. अगर आप positive सोच,
I think your video got stuck, Mr. Sput. I think something wrong.
Some network problem, I think.
Yeah. I think the video got stuck or the network problem. I think we will now move on from Maiti unless she's able to come back. We anyway almost on time. I know Ms. Pute is not able to hear us, but anyway, it was a wonderful session. I think it was these mudras, as Kishore explained, are very, very easy in the sense that it doesn't you don't have to do a big gyan to have these mudras, and you can do it at any point of time. My only worry is that you need to have the sequence and which finger to use and when and what. That's all. Otherwise, it's all fine. So we'll now move on to quiz number 1. After Ms. Mudra, you're back. I think we lost you, and we just concluded the session. But then we always say that when we meet a person, we have a lot of we could feel the positive energy around a person. Probably it is because of this aura that you are explaining, and definitely we feel a lot of positive energy you having on our show, and I am sure the viewers also will have a lot of positive energy flowing from you through this meditation. Thank you very much. It was extremely nice and very well explained also. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will now move on to quiz number 1 on yoga. The quiz number 1 of yoga is, how does yoga help in boosting the body's immunity? The options are A, yoga brings down stress and anxiety, thereby increasing positivity and freshness of mind. B, yoga builds strength and increases the body's energy levels. C, yoga strengthens the immune system by detoxifying the body and activating the lymphatic system. And D, all the above. The answers would be given at the end of this session. We now move on to Your Health Counter, anchored by Dr. Sudeep Srivastav, founder of HEAL Foundation and one of top India's health communication experts. Your Health Counter connects with India's top medical and nutrition, wellness, and public experts and policy makers on the latest topics that are being discussed or are being concerned about. Today, we'll be running a recorded version of a conversation with Purushottam Lal Padma Vibhushan, and an internationally renowned cardiologist who introduced many new techniques in cardiology. He will be speaking on a journey of heart care in India, best lessons in COVID times that he had with Sudeep Srivastava. The conversation was recorded earlier. Over to Your Health Counter. Dr. Purushottam Lal, a pioneer in interventional cardiology. He has the unique distinction of introducing the largest number of procedures in the field of interventional cardiology for the first time in India, such as rotablator stenting, balloon, mitral valve valvuloplasty, heart hole closer, TAVI, etc. He has been listed many times in Limca Book of World Records. He has been named as the father of interventional cardiology in India by Professor Adnan Kastre from Germany, a reputed cardiologist in the world. He was awarded Padma Vibhushan and Dr. B.C. Roy National Award by the President of India, making him the most decorated cardiologist of the country. Speaking to him is Dr. Swadeep Srivastava, the founder of Heal Foundation and Heal Health, and one of India's top health communication expert. He has been at the forefront of healthcare awareness through healthcare communication and has been instrumental in creating campaigns and platforms for healthcare improvements in India for the last 2 decades.
What most we thought was that if we can also learn from you the journey of development of interventional cardiology.
My field is interventional cardiology, and strictly I deal only with the wires, catheter, so forth. And I will go very quickly because it's a highly technical, and so I'll just take 10-15 minutes. If we go back 90 years back, this was the gentleman in Germany who did the self-catheterization, and that's how the catheterization started. 75 years back, a lot of animal studies were done and how a catheter can be developed. And these are the great people, Dr. Gruntzig, Judkin, Soames. See, in the balloon angioplasty, the main was that if the artery is 100% blocked, how to deal with that. And that was the device which we started in 89. And I was involved with Professor Carlton Beck, and we developed the prototype and then did the many cases just to show how it works. It's a slow rotation, like a battery. If you see the rotation, Dr. Swadeep, you are seeing the rotation?
Excellent, sir. It is coming a very good view, sir.
All right. After that, we found that it's not really cost effective, and we moved to, the new devices came where we will take the fat out of the artery. Let's say there is a block and it will cut and take the fat. This was the cutter. There's a real cutter which we put inside the artery, and this is inside the artery. What you are seeing is inside the artery. Again, it really didn't stop the restenosis, but we were able to do the angioplasty with the help of stent. Now you see, this thing is moving, and there are 2 arteries, and one is main, and you find the main is totally cut off from the other 2 arteries. There are multiple blocks, and this is full of calcium. Nobody can really think of doing the angioplasty without cutting with the rotablator. I mean, it's not difficult. It is impossible, to do angioplasty, and that's where the rotablator. And you will see, that's how this cuts inside the artery. The black shadow around is the calcium, and that's how slowly we did. And this is just to show one example. See, it's the same artery. You were seeing the critical blocks, and now you see almost normal. And we saved the 81, 82-year-old patient from bypass who has been advised bypass, where the bypass is the only option. Either patient is too old or due to many other concomitant medical problems where the bypass is not possible, or the patient doesn't want, or the patient is very young. And that's where, I can say that we can save almost 99% of the patient from the bypass. Now this is the before you see, and this is after. Now that's the real first artery, I would say, with the stent in Asia, if I will not say in India. And there was a block. It's a patient came from Maldives. In the beginning, we used to put the stent only to prevent the acute abrupt closure after balloon angioplasty, what we used to call bailout situation. On the left upper, you see the block, and then we did the balloon angioplasty on the right up, you see the totally occluded. And that's where we put the stent, and after putting the stent, that's how we started. This was of the first case of the country. And if you see on the left side, lower side, where you see the arrow, now this is the stent inside the artery, Now this is the before, this is after, before, after, and that's we can put stent anywhere. That's the neck artery, to prevent the stroke. And this is the aorta. See how bent that aorta is on left side, and you see acute bend. This is right in the abdomen, and after putting the stent on the right side, you see it. And then we did the first case of abdominal aneurysm. On left side is aneurysm, and after putting the stent, and these are the publications of later. And then we started doing the procedure with the help of echo, and this was our first patient where the patient was not able to afford the cath lab and so forth, and that's where we did. And now moving pulmonary valvuloplasty, this is just to give an idea. I'll skip over there because it's going wrong. Aortic, that's very important. Meiotic Valvuloplasty, this was the one which we made a prototype artificial heart disease in 91. And these are all, I think, collected the things from various places and then made the device, did the first case in 90. And this is how you can see the videos that time looked like.
What people would like to know is, one is about this, why don't we start with angiography with the wrist, sir? So what is the difference? What is the genesis of it? Now I believe a lot of more other people would also be doing. But I remember 15 years back when you started, I don't know if many people were doing in India. So what is the advantage you saw? What was the genesis? Can you tell something about it?
Angiography through the wrist or elbow was nothing new. When the angiography started in 50s and then in 60s in the world, they started from the arm itself, but by giving the cut and so forth. And later on it started through the groin. And then came in India in 97, 98, the CT angio. A lot of people were going. And that time we were not that advanced with CT angio, a lot of radiation, so forth. And when the CT angio will tell anything, and then again we have to do the angio. That's how we developed this technique so that we can do in about 3 minutes. And we started with elbow, where the patient doesn't have to take the clothes. He will just walk in the cath lab, and we'll do quickly echo and blood test. And so by doing everything, the patient was able to go home, not home, to work, in half an hour, or certainly I will say give and take less than 1 hour. We have done more than 60,000 cases now. We presented papers, and our first paper was very long in UK. But anyway, it is better, and now it is done everywhere, so nothing new. And the people in the country, in Delhi, NCR, and everywhere, it is done very good. Our concept was different. I won't say it was new invention. It was more of a concept where we took the fear out of the people, the phobia of coronary angiography. People never wanted to hear the word coronary angiography. It was just like an operation. And so we gave the name Metro Coronary Screening, MCS. And then a lot of people started coming, and later on they found it was really, because there were a lot of modifications. We followed physics formula that with 5 cc dye, we used to do the angiography, and still we do it. And with that, no physiological changes, and a person can just go back.
This another new thing came up and was a lot of craze about it. CT angio, then people started comparing it with angiography and how it can replace it. So what is your view on that, sir?
Well, I think CT angio is a very, very good, and these are supplementary. It's not really, I would say, alternate. No, I will order CT angio if a 30-year-old comes to me and where I'm reasonably convinced that most likely, even though there are risk factors, having coronary artery disease, the chances are very less. That's the place where we order the CT angio. CT angio in our practice, I will be ordering CT angio 3-4, I would say, every week. And then the angio, the advantage, the kind of in our institute where we deal with the low middle class people, sometimes they don't want to have two tests. First CT angio, and once I am convinced that there is a likelihood of the disease there, I would rather go, where what we call MCS, through the wrist or elbow, and that also takes, as I said, 3, 4, 5 minutes.
So one of the commonest thing what I've seen is particularly in the multi-vessel heart disease, where more than about 3 or more than 3 vessels are involved with a blockage in the heart, sir. So there's always, I've seen a conflict of opinion. A patient goes to a cardiac surgeon and cardiac surgeon says that I will do the bypass surgery and it has become advanced and that is the only way to sort out. And there are certain cases where interventional cardiologists have seen that such can be handled with the proper professional angioplasty procedure also. So what is the difference of where patients should know in multi-artery diseases that angioplasty is good, or of course it's the call of the medical practitioner, but what patient should know about the benefit of bypass surgery over angioplasty and benefits of angioplasty over bypass surgery?
There's a lot of people now, they are quite aware of, of the procedures. Those days are gone where the people didn't have knowledge. Everybody checks with the internet and, taking second opinion, third, which is always very good. But now my point is that we divide the treatment in 4. If I see one angio where I feel that it is the best for the patient to have an angioplasty, now this is the angioplasty. And there is one group of patients which I would say the bypass is preferred. And then comes the mixture. There we see the pros and cons, and fourth, of course, the medical treatment. Now, if I have a young patient and all the 3 arteries are blocked, and when I say young, say 40-year-old, 45, 50-year-old, I would prefer personally multiple vessel angioplasty. And if I have a patient at the age of 70, 68, I would prefer bypass because that's the best time for the patient to tolerate the surgery rather than doing the angioplasty and maybe, sometime when they become 78, 80, the surgery becomes relatively difficult. So we go by each patient. And then at the same time, if I have a patient coming from, say, my village or any village, where we find, patient will not be able to come for follow-up and so forth, and we want a very, very long-term result. Bypass is always better for the long-term result. The people coming from the villages sometimes cannot afford, because these days the angioplasty, when we do the multiple vessels by using road ablators and so forth, becomes more expensive than the bypass surgery.
Welcome back. Let me remind our viewers that we are live on Facebook and YouTube. We now move on to Health Nama, a highly viewed segment on Health for All. These short capsules put together by my co-host Kishore Mavi in Hindi deal with specific ailments and advice given by India's top experts. This episode will be on sexual and reproductive health, current status, challenges, and the way forward. Here is Health Nama for you.
नमस्कार। हेल्थ नामा में आज हम महिलाओं के स्वास्थ्य की बात करेंगे। ये ऐसा विषय है जो जेंडर भेदभाव का शिकार है और ज़्यादातर लोग इस पर बात करने से भी कतराते हैं, जबकि असलियत ये है कि एक महिला की सेहत पर पूरे परिवार की सेहत टिकी होती है। हमने कई डॉक्टरों और वुमेन एक्टिविस्ट से इस बारे में खुलकर बात की और उनसे समझना चाहा कि महिलाओं को आखिर किस तरह की चुनौतियों का सामना करना पड़ता है। प्रस्तुत है उनसे बातचीत के कुछ अंश। कोविड महामारी के दौरान पेंडेमिक फैला हमारे देश में, उसमें बाकी बीमारियों के लिए तो खैर ये घातक रहा ही। एनीमिया के पेशेंट को किस तरह से और कितना भयानक तरीके से इसको प्रभावित किया?
देखिए, अनीमिया जो एक प्रॉब्लम है ना, बहुत ही साइलेंट किलर होता है। अनीमिया से मतलब एकदम लोग नहीं मरते हैं। अनीमिया से आपका बॉडी का रेजिस्टेंस कम हो जाता है, आपकी बॉडी की एफिशिएंसी कम हो जाती है। जैसे खास तौर पर लड़कियों में ये प्रॉब्लम बहुत कॉमन होती है, तो वो अपने आप को जल्दी से टायर्ड महसूस करती हैं, अपने आप को थोड़ा सा काम करने के बाद एग्जॉस्टेड फील करती हैं। दे आर नॉट रियली सिक बट देयर एफिशिएंसी रिड्यूसेस। इवन लोग बोलते हैं कि यदि जैसे बच्चों में एनीमिया रहने से बच्चों के दिमाग में जो ग्रोथ होती है ना, मेंटल ग्रोथ होती है, उससे जिसको हम बोलते हैं कॉग्निशन, बच्चों को यदि, क्योंकि ये प्रॉब्लम बच्चों में भी बहुत ज्यादा है इंडिया में, यदि माँ को एनीमिया है तो बच्चों को भी एनीमिया है, तो बच्चों की ओवरऑल डेवलपमेंट जो होती है, मेंटल डेवलपमेंट, कॉग्निशन डेवलपमेंट, उनकी शार्पनेस, इंटेलिजेंस ऑफ द ब्रेन ऑल्सो रिड्यूसेस। तो कहने का मतलब ये है कि ये वाली जो प्रॉब्लम है, जो आपकी बॉडी की एफिशिएंसी, बॉडी की ओवरऑल स्ट्रेंथ कम कर देती है, यदि उसके ऊपर आपको कोविड होगा तो यू कैन अंडरस्टैंड कि प्रॉब्लम बढ़ी जाएगी आप। तो आई थिंक इट इज काइंड ऑफ ए रेसिपी फॉर एनी डिजीज, it will kind of exaggerate that particular disease.
कि फैमिली प्लानिंग जो आज किताबी बातें रह गई हैं, उसको जीवन में उतारने के लिए पुरुषों को जागरूक करना ज्यादा जरूरी है। तो उसको कैसे, यूं कहें कि हम कैसे एंगेज करें?
जिस तरह से आपने शायद पढ़ा भी होगा, बट जैसे ICRW का एक प्रोजेक्ट था अभी पुराना, कपल एंगेज, जो कि यूपी बिहार में करा गया था, एंड उसमें महिलाओं से और पुरुषों से दोनों से बातचीत करी गई थी समझने के लिए कि वो महिलाएं क्या सोचती हैं और पुरुष क्या सोचते हैं। तो पुरुषों का एक प्रोटेक्टर, जैसे हम कहते हैं ना, वो पुराना प्रोटेक्टर की मैं घर की प्रोवाइडर की मैं खाना दूंगा, प्रोक्रिएटर की मैं बच्चा करूंगा, तो उस तरह का एक रोल उन्होंने समझने शुरू कर दिए हैं, या वो चलते आ रहे हैं पिछले जमाने से। मेल एंगेजमेंट का जो एक काम है, वो काफी समय से इस पे काफी काम हो भी रहा है, काफी लोग इंटरेस्टेड भी हैं, बट वो ग्रास रूट लेवल पे, रूरल लेवल पे, इवन अर्बन लेवल पे हम भी, आप भी, वो सोच बदलनी, आप जितने मर्जी प्रोग्राम चला लीजिए, इंटरवेंशन चला लीजिए, काफी कुछ कर लीजिए, बट जो माइंडसेट चेंज है या जो पर्सपेक्टिव चेंज है, वो लाना सालों साल का काम है और वो धीरे धीरे ही होता है। और पुरुषों का इस चीज को महत्वपूर्ण समझना कि बच्चा संभालना महिला का काम और कमा के लाना मेरा काम, ये जेंडर रोल्स, इनको ब्रेक करना, हर छोटे मुद्दे पे इस चीज की खुल के चर्चा होना, पावर इम्बैलेंस, जो हम जेंडर इक्वालिटी की सब बात करते हैं, बट अपने ही घरों में हम जब पहुंचते हैं तो खाना कौन पका रहा है, ये छोटी छोटी चीजें, मतलब उनसे भी हम शुरू नहीं कर पा रहे हैं। तो ये जो डिसीजन मेकिंग और कम्युनिकेशन की बात है, ये सब चीजें में बदलाव आने के लिए मैं वही समझती हूँ कि जितना ज्यादा काम आप लोगों के माइंडसेट एंगेजमेंट के साथ कर पाए, और कोई जल्दी इसके शॉर्टकट मेथड है ही नहीं कोई।
मैटरनल मोर्टेलिटी जो है हमारे देश में एक बड़ी और चिंताजनक समस्या है।
यस,
एक तो इसके पीछे क्या बड़ा कारण है और इसमें क्या हमारी पॉलिसी में कोई कमी है?
सो मैटरनल, जैसे कि अपना एज पर जो SRS डेटा जो है, उसके हिसाब से जो अपना मैटरनल मोर्टेलिटी इंडिया का अभी जो 2016 में डेटा रिलीज हुआ था, उसके हिसाब से मैटरनल मोर्टेलिटी अभी अपना 113 है। और उसमें जैसे कि आप पिछले 10 या 12 सालों 2003 से देखें तो अपना मैटरनल मोर्टेलिटी में जो रेशो बहुत उसमें कम हुआ है। सो basically there are 4 phases in maternal mortality, like obstetric transition phases. So some states of India are in the phase 3 and some states are in phase 4, like Maharashtra and Kerala are now in the phase 4, where the maternal mortality ratio is less than 50, while the other states like Assam and UP and those are in the obstetric phase 3. So there are like we have to do like in phase 4, the direct obstetric causes maternal mortality due to direct obstetric causes are decreases, while in phase 3 the direct obstetric causes like antepartum hemorrhage is there, postpartum hemorrhage is there, sepsis is there, then obstetric labor is there. So these are all the preventable causes, and these causes are more in this obstetric transition phase 3, where the maternal mortality is between the maternal mortality ratio is between the 50 to 99. So we have to separate, like in if particular state is there, we have to plan for district wise, where district wise planning is more important. Like the guidelines are also there, but there is a handholding of the staff is more important. Like the maternal mortality due to the hypertensive disorder in pregnancy is more. So capacity building of staff is more important, like BP measurement. If we are seeing that when we analyze the any maternal death, we the BP is like 100 and when this patient is referred to the FRUs or in that time we see that the BP is 190. So the capacity building of the front care healthcare workers is more important, like BP measurement or urine albumin checking. So these are more important. One more important, like when we see that like there are the 3 types of delay in maternal mortality, like in delay in decision, then delay in decision to seek care, then delay in the referral, and third is the delay in treatment at the facility. So we have to, for these delays, we have to like delay in decision to seek care, we can address to the emphasis on the focus on the IC of various maternal health services like JSY, JSSK, 102 ambulance, PMY, and we have to sensitize these health workers and community regarding the pregnancy-related risk factors and complication among the communities. We know that the maternal death are more during the labor and while delivering the baby and postpartum, like within this 24 hours. So we have to focus on this 24 hour by giving the quality service, like Lakshya program is already there. Now the Suman program is launched by Government of India. So in that period, we can give the quality care services to all our pregnant women. And we can also add the special drive for the high-risk pregnancy detection, anemia detection, and we have to ICs required in local language for prevention of the maternal deaths.
लोगों में इमरजेंसी कंट्रासेप्शन और मेडिकल एबॉर्शन को लेकर काफी गलतफहमियां हैं। दोनों में बेसिक अंतर क्या है?
दोनों के नाम से ही हमें अंतर समझ आ जाता है। अगर हम इमरजेंसी कॉन्ट्रासेप्शन समझे तो उसमें कॉन्ट्रासेप्शन है, और मेडिकल अबॉर्शन समझे तो वो अबॉर्शन है। जिसका मतलब ये हुआ कि कॉन्ट्रासेप्शन का मतलब है कि इट विल प्रिवेंट अ प्रेगनेंसी। तो इमरजेंसी कॉन्ट्रासेप्शन मेरी प्रेगनेंसी को प्रिवेंट कर सकती है इफ आई हैव हैड एन अनप्रोटेक्टेड सेक्सुअल एक्ट। Whereas medical abortion का मतलब ही है कि अगर मुझे एक अनचाहा गर्भ मैंने धारण कर लिया है तो मैं उसका अबॉर्शन कैसे कर सकती हूँ। अगर एक बार प्रेगनेंसी हो गई है, कंसीव कर लिया है, तो उसमें इमरजेंसी कॉन्ट्रासेप्शन का कोई रोल नहीं है। कॉन्ट्रासेप्शन का रोल प्रेगनेंसी होने से पहले है, उसको प्रिवेंट करने के लिए, और मेडिकल अबॉर्शन का रोल तब है जब मेरे पास एक अनवांटेड प्रेगनेंसी है और मैं उसको टर्मिनेट करना चाहती हूँ।
नेशनल फैमिली हेल्थ सर्वे 2021 के अनुसार सिर्फ 10% पुरुष ही कॉन्डोम यूज करते हैं और 40% महिलाएं प्रेगनेंसी रोकने के लिए स्टेरिलाइजेशन कराती हैं। क्या फैमिली प्लानिंग केवल महिलाओं की रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है? और ये सिर्फ रूरल नहीं, अर्बन एरिया में भी हो रहे हैं। इसे कैसे ठीक किया जा सकता है?
बिल्कुल सही कहा आपने। ये जो नया NFHS डेटा आया है इसके तहत और पुराने NFHS सर्वे भी अगर हम उठा के देखें तो यही इसी तरह का गैप नजर आता है। जो बहुत सारी बात अजय जी, डॉक्टर राजेश, अनीशा जी ने भी कही, a lot of this is associated with gender and social norms। किस तरह के पुरुष और महिला के बीच में पावर इम्बैलेंस रहता है, किस तरह पुरुष किस चीज का कंट्रोल रहता है एक हाउस होल्ड में, इंडिविजुअल लेवल में, कपल लेवल में, स्ट्रक्चरल लेवल पे, जिसका हेल्थ सिस्टम्स एक बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट है। तो जिस तरह की बातें डॉक्टर राजेश और अनीशा जी ने भी कही कि क्वालिटी ऑफ केयर, उसका भी एक स्ट्रक्चरल दायरा है कि जो हेल्थ सिस्टम्स के खुद ही लोग हैं वो किस तरह से एक औरत को देखते हैं, एक अनमैरिड वुमन जिसकी प्रेगनेंसी हो गई हो उसको कैसे देखते हैं। और अगर हम फैमिली प्लानिंग के अंदर जो आपने सवाल पूछा है, औरत और महिला के बीच में कॉन्डम इस्तेमाल अभी भी कम क्यों किया जा रहा है, इसके बहुत सारे सप्लाई साइड इश्यूज भी हैं, जो कि कॉन्डम की अवेलेबिलिटी, डिस्पोजल का मसला, क्योंकि रूरल एरियाज में अभी भी बहुत स्टिग्मेटाइज्ड हैं ये सारी चीजें। बट ये एक तरह से टेकन फॉर ग्रांटेड बात है कि औरत ही कराएगी, स्टरलाइजेशन कराएगी, नहीं तो गोली लेगी, नहीं तो कुछ और, मतलब या अबॉर्शन भी। मतलब वुमेन्स बॉडी का जो मेंटल एंड फिजिकल डिटीरियोरेशन है या एक्सप्लॉयटेशन है वो एक एकदम नॉर्मलाइज सी बात है। तो ऑल्सो फैमिली प्लानिंग हमेशा से ही एक इंस्ट्रूमेंटलिस्ट अप्रोच से चलता है, पॉपुलेशन कंट्रोल टूल के हिसाब से, ना कि एक राइट्स बेस्ड अप्रोच। जैसे अबॉर्शन भी जैसे एक राइट होना चाहिए, उसी तरह फैमिली प्लानिंग भी एक राइट होना चाहिए।
मेंस्ट्रुएशन तो नेचुरल चीज है, लेकिन इसके साथ स्टिग्मा क्यों जुड़ा है, कैसे दूर करें?
तो कोई भी चीज जो भी which is around sexual and reproductive health, that is always a hush-hush topic, right? Like we don't talk about it, and especially when it comes to women or people who identify themselves as women or from the trans community, especially the menstruators. So they go through, they are always stigmatized क्योंकि वो already एक marginalized community से belong करते हैं। तो एक तो सबसे बड़ा significant factor which contributes to this hushiousness of period being not spoken about, or and even families maybe. So I feel that patriarchy has a significant role to play, and the one way to do away with this is to fight patriarchy in our own capacities and capabilities, and everyone has their own way of doing it. I believe there are communities, the community I worked with in rural Gujarat, that very different cultural norms, and I come from Assam where I had very different cultural norms, right? So our ways of fighting will also have to be very different, and also at the same time, we cannot design one solution for all the communities, especially when we're working with communities, when we're working with women across the country. So everything has to be very contextualized.
तो अब वक्त आ गया है कि महिलाओं की समस्या पर फुसफुसाने की नहीं, खुलकर बोलने की ज़रूरत है। इसके लिए लोगों को जागरूक करना ज़रूरी है। हम ये काम कर रहे हैं और आगे भी करते रहेंगे अपने साप्ताहिक लाइव शो हेल्थ फॉर ऑल के माध्यम से, हर रविवार सुबह 8 बजे से 11 बजे तक, जैसे आप YouTube और Facebook पर लाइव देख सकते हैं। नमस्कार।
Welcome back. We move on to another important session 2 on key findings of a survey on vaccination perception done by Heal Foundation and Science Global Insights and Consulting, which was incorporated in 2012. Scizen is a full-service research and consulting firm committed to delivering simple, credible, and actionable insights to clients. Scizen's pool of strategic advisors and counselors provide clear and actionable recommendations for delivering winning growth strategies. From Heal side, we have Dr. Sudeep Srivastava, founder of Heal Foundation. And from Saizen Global, we have Ms. Kavita Gupta, director and founder of Saizen Global Insights and Consulting and principal consultant to leading firms, including Sixth Sense Research, Guardian Realizations Canada, etc. She has over 20 years of global experience in qualitative research across categories, target audiences, countries, and strategic consulting. Kavita's sector specialization is across FMCG, stationery, education, media and advertising, public relations, government, NGOs, healthcare, travel, banking, telecom, technology, consumer durables, automotive, chemicals, and petrochemicals and hospitality, quite a large specialization. And she has worked as lead projects for some of world's leading brands and companies, including Apple, Tata, HP, Amazon, Zoe, MakeMyTrip.com, PepsiCo, Renault, GM, Ford, Biocon, etc. Ms. Kavita Gupta holds a master's degree in sciences, postgraduate diploma in business administration, advanced certificate in facilitation and sales from Leadership Management International, Texas, USA, the world's largest professional development company. Apart from a busy schedule, she enjoys time in reading, dancing, and exploring new targets. Over to you, Sudeep, for your brief words and carrying the session forward.
Thank you, Shankar sir. Thank you. Welcome to you, Kavita. Welcome on this show, Health for All, which we have been running for almost, this is our 20th episode. And we are marching ahead with a lot of popularity growing on our YouTube channels and on our Facebook Live with support of our key hosts, Mr. R. Shankar and Mr. Kishore Malvi. So today, Kavita, you know, out of all of your specializations, together we have been working on your favorite specialization, that is healthcare. And nobody would differ from this, that COVID has brought back full attention on healthcare in a big way. And with this whole COVID dilemma, what you can call conundrum, and this the huge exercise of vaccination been exercised by our government in a large scale in India. Vaccination is still in the public sector, the government sector, and it has not been prioritized, and that's for good, I believe. So what we thought was, and what we discussed, and Kavita and Saizen Global Insights, who are going to complete almost their first decade, 10 years of working together. I remember we did our first survey, I think 10 years back or 7-8 years back. We did
Yes, 10 years back. 10 years back, and that was very popular Vedana survey, if you remember. We were like, we focused on women. I was like watching the previous program, and it was emphasizing on women, and I completely went into nostalgia about it. That okay, that's where we started.
So this time we requested Kavita, and being her 10th year, she agreed to do something which is more of public interest than just business. And we agreed to sort of go into deeper into insight on the vaccination in India. So we call it India Vaccine Survey. Vaccine, SCENE, scene. So what is a scene? So so that's why we have kept this session also after this, just after this discussion is a session on the vaccination conundrum, that there's a lot of confusion. And but before taking I'll not take much of time, I'll quickly go on to Kavita to present this survey, the objective, the methodology, the findings very quickly, because we have a hard stop at 10 a.m. So we'll try to complete as much and take some questions also if possible.
Sure. Thank you, Sudeep. And it's been always a very great association with you and Heal Foundation. I feel very closely. So, of course, you know, there was so much of rounds going on in media, and there was so much going on all across. A few people knew about vaccines, a few people did not. I think we felt that it's been almost 2 years of pandemic, and it would be a good idea to understand from people their perceptions, their hopes, their beliefs, and how we are moving forward in the direction of dealing with COVID-19. So the survey was conducted with that objective to understand where we are and what's happening now. Okay. And we are calling it India's vaccine. So it's basically vaccination scenario that we are talking about. So moving on quickly with the findings. It's a collaborative survey done by Size and Global Insights and Consulting and Heal Foundation. And the survey was, there were around 1,000 plus participants or 1,100 plus participants who have joined the survey from all across India. We had fair representation of Northeast, West, South, and we were able to get males and females in almost equal number getting participated. We also looked at, we also found that various generations had participated in the survey. So there was about 91% people who belong to Gen Z and millennials and from various income groups. So in terms of reach and in terms of participation, we got a fair, good demographic representation in the survey. So with almost 95% confidence, we would be talking about the findings. Next, please. Yeah. So so I'm going to discuss, because we are short of time, so discuss very key findings from the survey, and then it would be available for people to kind of look at it. So the one of the most important findings, and going around all this vaccination communication, one of the very critical finding was that vaccines are very critical to winning against COVID-19 over the long term or the short term. So people, more than 90% people believe in vaccination or in getting vaccines, and they understand and appreciate the role of vaccines in fight against COVID. I think that was, so we were hearing a lot, but this was like very reiterating and reassuring that people have faith and believe in vaccines in treating themselves or, for others as well. And 85% believe in efficacy of and safety of vaccine. So when we spoke to people that, so there was a lot of rounds that, oh, we don't know what about vaccine, but 85% people said that they believe in vaccines. And this was linked to the education. The more they educated were, they had more faith in vaccines. So what does it reflect? It reflects that just getting the vaccination done or calling people for vaccination may not be enough. We also need to reach out to people for building awareness. उनसे बात करना पड़ेगा, उनको समझाना पड़ेगा. जो बाकी लोग हैं जिनके थोड़े भी concerns हैं, वो grassroots level पर काम करना पड़ेगा, and we'll have to get the vaccination drive become successful. Only then that's the only possibility. Next, please. Ankit, next. Yeah. So the another interesting fact was that, okay, so there are vaccines coming from all over the world. I think almost 150 companies immediately registered for getting the vaccine produced, and there was a huge drive going on. So what about Indians? 67% believe in making India C19 vaccine. So this was one of the takeaways that all said and done, we believe in making India and the effectiveness. So 85% considered vaccines in general to be safer, and around 67% were very sure of that made in India vaccines would also be effective. So keeping aside the drive which was going on, and this is about also availability, the survey was also to focus upon what do they think and believe and what is their perception. So yes, the perception is positive. Indian vaccines are considered to be effective, and young audience or millennials have higher faith in Indian vaccination than Gen Z, which is the further youngest. So how we can look at generations is that Gen Z is between 18 to 25 years, and millennial is our core average age, which is 26 to 41 years. They have more faith. So millennials have more faith in vaccine. And the bottom one is just to show that how Indian vaccine have been able to make a global footprint on in terms of their reach. So yes, made in India vaccines, people do agree with made in India vaccine, and they believe in that. Next, please. Next for the next. It's a similar finding. So we saw similar reactions across, insured or uninsured, etc. So despite vaccination, vaccination happened, drive was very fast. Everyone was getting vaccinated or looking for one or other vaccine. in general, what do people think about vaccines? So there was a lot of this going on, that whether it would be safe, not safe, this and that. In general, what do people think about vaccines? So about 60% people or 59% people have said that no, they did not have any bad reaction to any vaccine. So it was like, in general, the faith in vaccine stayed. It was just that COVID vaccine just happened very quickly, and around 70% people had got vaccinated. But does vaccination means कि अगर मेरे को vaccination लग गया है तो मेरा डर नहीं है? नहीं. Only 14% people said that I don't have any fear from vaccine, which means that around 86% people had one or other concern about vaccine. मतलब ड्राइव हुआ, दे हैव द फेथ, दे बिलीव इन वैक्सीन एफिकेसी एंड एवरीथिंग, लेकिन जो एक डर है एक ह्यूमन कि ये क्या है और एकदम से डिजीज नहीं है, वैक्सीन नहीं है, सो दे आल्सो हैड फियर्स around vaccines. And let's look at the next slide to understand what were their prime concerns. So the biggest concern, and which was noted across, was that the side effects are unknown. I think this is somewhere, again, it reiterates the way whole activity and the communication around that is done and handled. So there was so much floating around, and not only we were dealing with pandemic, we were also dealing with infodemic. And side effects are unknown. This is developed too soon. Vaccines are too new. These concerns were prime, then other concerns were also there, which were mostly coming from so much of, infodemic, which was like, they may not be, they make me sterile, or it could harm me in some other way. I would get COVID-19 itself, or, vaccines is kind of a conspiracy. I mean, what not? Everything was around it. So, Deep, you want to talk about some of the infodemic here?
So broadly, what your findings say on the same lines, while we have also been doing some session with leading public health experts of the country on the infodemic part, is definitely a lot of misconceptions were created because of the WhatsApp university, a lot of social media, unwarranted post, irresponsible post. Even if you look at it globally also, it happened it went to a level where the US President Joe Biden had to pitch in and sort of warn Facebook to remove all the such misinformation videos, the infodemic floating around. He even warned that he will bring out a regulation if such is not. So globally, we have seen a lot of champions of infodemic coming up in a big way and misinformation. India is still, we are safer in a sense that we don't have those vocal champions, though here and there we hear about
keep getting. Yeah.
But yes, what I find good about your survey, I think you are going to talk about, is the which source of information people trust.
Yes. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, as you rightly said, I think one point in time I was myself debating whether the pandemic is bigger or infodemic is bigger. I mean, out of the two, what actually are we dealing with? So as you rightly said, that there were literally champions and universities which popped up overnight, and there was so much of misconception, misinformation floating. Next please, and let's look at, so then who do people trust for let's go to the next one. Yeah. So who do people trust for information? Very interestingly, despite WhatsApp media and about media, universities, etc., no. People said that their top 5 most trusted sources of information included scientific bodies, healthcare practitioners, and information which is coming from central or say PM's office, because they, especially when it is something जो उनकी जिंदगी से जुड़ा हुआ है, वो कहीं इधर उधर देखकर उसके लिए नहीं trust कर सकते थे. So they had to resort to scientific opinion. This also establishes that, one thing which stood out, Swadeep, strikingly and for audiences, is that the role of healthcare practitioners, physicians, nurses at the grassroots level see, not everyone may look at World Health Organization or have access to that, or ICMR or information immediately may not reach out to them. तो उनका पहला point of contact obviously healthcare practitioners बन जाते हैं, and this is what they have clearly said, and it reiterates कि वो सिर्फ हमारी जान नहीं बचा रहे थे बल्कि educate भी कर रहे थे और लोगों को first source of credible information bhi ban rahe the. So this survey very clearly reflected that whatever may be the media and social media or the champions or infodemic claims, at the end of the day, scientific facts, at the end of the day, correct information, at the end of the day, credible information is what wins over. And that is very important point, and I would like you to add a word here, because you coming from communication and specifically your expertise in healthcare communication, how do you see this information? How do you see this data?
It definitely, Kavita, it validates our stand. That is what in a lot of programs, I remember we started this online education series when COVID started and it was announced officially in India, the lockdown was announced. So it started as a series wherein we didn't have anything to do. So we said, okay, let's start doing health online.
Yeah.
So jokes apart, it was taken very seriously. We brought in all experts from across the country, various subjects, various topics, various experts, and we created a COVID fighters public health safety movement. That series went off quite well on various COVID related and other related issues. Why only COVID? Then we came up with this whole Health4All series every Sunday. We said we do it every weekly, every Sunday. But one of the key things which I have been emphasizing and re-emphasizing and reiterating is that we stuck to the module that we will get only authentic, credible sources on our forums. So we stuck to the educationists, we stuck to bringing in top public health experts, the researchers, the medical fraternity people who had excellent track record and experience, and they were associated with large organizations or had the independent credibility, or the wellness experts from across. And we, me along with Shankar sir and Kishore ji, we have been very, and along with our team of Chavi, Dr. Ankit, Shanawaz, Sumit, Pavitra, everybody involved, we have always been very particular on getting the right source of information from everything we do. Like we have done more than 200 sessions combined on 200 different topics in different ways. We have brought in about more than 200 experts on the. So this has been, and that is what I see probably, which is quite well validated from these the survey and the findings what you bring forward. Over to you, Kavita.
Okay. Yeah. So I think this was one of the core things we were also very curious about, that, everyone claims about giving the information, but what about people? Whom do they go to? And I think that's where the grassroots level healthcare practitioners' efforts and nurses and pharmacists actually plays role. Can we go to next, please? Yeah, and Gen Z and millennials also, mentioned that they believe in scientific information. Boomers very outrightly said that, it is scientific journals that they look up to. So that kind of, reiterated that credible information or information coming from known sources who have experience and who have facts is believed more. Next,
so
please.
What definitely makes me more happy? Definitely makes me more happy is about the fact that even along with WHO, ICMR, AIMS, scientific journals, our PMO, Prime Minister's Office, and the government as a source is being taken seriously by our people.
I think that's exactly, because for us and that we wanted to remain very neutral about finding sources of information, and this just happened that people kind of pointed out, if you can look at the differences, they have rated information coming from central, which is more for all nation, and it's a uniform information which goes across the country. They trusted more that as an important source than their own state government or chief minister. So I think that was also another insight, that efforts done at the central level, efforts done at top level need to be kind of trickle down or going down with the central government. So they need to work hand in hand in terms of disseminating such kind of crucial information. That kind of would increase the credibility of the whole information as well, multi-folds. I mean, if they start seeing that it is coming from uniform source in a similar way, and states supporting the center in ensuring that there is a local customization of the information, but it's also like valid for everyone, and wherever I am, I can have access to the information. I think it's more linked to that how easily you can access the information. So it's just not about information being there, it needs to be easily accessible as well. And I think that's where the healthcare practitioners became their first point, because they were the most accessible people for them to get the correct information or the validated information. My take on this is what about you? Because millennials, they have also acknowledged. Millennials, I keep emphasizing upon, because 26 to 41 years is the age which works, which goes out, is in a different stage of life where they have kids as well. So, this was the community which got a lot affected, and they had to completely change their way of living, right? बहुत सारे लोग जो ऑफिस जाके काम करते थे वो सडनली कन्फाइंड टू होम्स हो गए, उनको बच्चों के पास टाइम मिल गया, एंड लाइफ कंप्लीटली चेंज हो गई. तो उनके लिए sources of information के belief we wanted to look at, and we found this very interesting that all said and done Indian vaccines पे विश्वास है, और government के information sources पे people actively looked into government information sources for finding information besides international body or a national body, scientific body. Yeah, let's go to the next one, please. This is just India's vaccine status. We found this, that okay, so many people got vaccinated, and there was advertising rounds. So these were the various efforts done by media or the companies in a way to build awareness. And about 85% of the doses were Covishield, and there were different vaccines. So there were around there were quick launches of vaccines, etc., which happened. This is just to showcase that where we are in terms of the vaccination drive, and even boosters and kids vaccination phase has started. Next, please. Yeah, so we also looked at that, okay, while all this was happening, people's life had completely changed, isn't it, Swadeep? Like, everyone was suddenly inside, isolations came into lives like anything else. So what were their top worries during COVID-19? And I think people said that, it had negatively impacted their family lives. So we managed to speak to one of our experts, Dr. Richa, who is a senior pediatrician. And she was like that, yes, the way children were educated, the whole classroom and whole, going to the college stuff was kind of came into total stall, and children have to quickly get into online education system. The whole education system was kind of differently affected by COVID-19, and that brought in a lot of worries and stress and concerns in parents' mind. And parents have actually said that or participants have actually said that the way child education would be done now. So very on a lighter note, we always said that jaise ACBC hota hai na, before Christ and all, so now there would be before COVID and after COVID when it comes to the way the generations would get educated. Now we are more online, the online classes are normal, and the whole distance education used to be like one off thing would become kind of the regular phenomena. So COVID had a lot of worries. COVID had brought in a lot of worries, which were like financial worries and new variant worries, but there were also worries related to the children education. I think this is one of the findings from the research. Next, please. Yeah. And other concerns included, reinfection or insecurities or, unavailability of access. They were the other concerns that popped across males, females, or, different generations. Next, please. Yeah. So despite all uncertainty, there is a hope and optimism. And, 52% mentioned that yes, they indulge themselves more into physical fitness. And at least if we take something positive from the disease or from the whole mess around which happened so soon, they said that they experienced a little bit of positivity in terms of their physical and mental health. And our experts say that it can be attributed to the fact that people got more time to invest with their families. That establishes that how important are your loved ones and families. And also work from home kind of brought their kids and parents together. And when you get stressed, whom do you look up to? You look up to people around you, people whom you trust more, and you got more time to invest with them. So probably this could be attributed to this finding that 52% felt that their physical fitness, they could do their yoga, they could do their long lost hobbies again. So they said that despite all chaos, there was hope and optimism. And we have quoted actually Deborah Kumeni from UNICEF, who is very, in her op-ed, she has very nicely described that COVID-19 has also forced us to open our minds and quickly learn to operate in suddenly changed context. I think this was the key line that we found very interesting and in sync with what our findings was saying. And I close this with Dalai Lama's quote that whenever there is a challenge, there is also an opportunity to face it, to demonstrate and to develop our will and determination. I think the whole effort around talking about vaccines, helping people combat COVID worries, and helping people combat COVID pandemic itself, I think the grassroots level work needs to be more aggressively done. Communication needs to be more streamlined. And also we need to kind of look at various ways of connecting with people and dealing with their worries. And this is my closing note. Over to you, Sudeep.
Okay, so quickly, Kavita, since we have other, for the next session, we are leading public health experts and pediatricians and other doctors also on the panel. So I would request you to quickly sum up the whole objective methodology and the findings. So that will be very useful for our overall audience. What we will do is that we'll release this very interesting survey on Tuesday. We'll be releasing to all the health media across the country. I'll ask my colleagues, Dr. Ankit and Chavi, to upload this on our Heal Foundation and Health4All pages. And also you can upload on your website of Saizen Global, so that all our viewers and all our panelists and experts, whoever are interested, can have access to this. And so I would like, but since we have to start the next session quickly, I would request you to, I'll not go for many questions. We can always clarify as and when it comes, but definitely like to have a concluding note in terms of the objective, the methodology, and the overall key findings.
So objective was very clear that we wanted to kind of test the waters and understand where we are in the COVID journey, and what is the role of vaccines and where is the hope. So, the concerns and also the hopes of people around, going forward, what next. So we did an online survey, which was, as I said, that done across geographies, and around 1106 participants participated. So all the findings are kind of 95% with confidence we can talk about these findings. And the key findings were, number one, people have faith in vaccines, in getting themselves cured and getting others cured. They also believe in trusted information, the scientific journals, and more importantly, scientific bodies and government, central government information. Media and social media, how much claims they may have, unless they come with facts and information, they are not going to win it. So people believe less, or they consider them as low trust sources of information. And there is need for enhancing or establishing this positivity, and we need to continue our efforts at the grassroots level, bringing more people and females into it to get the vaccine education done. I think these are my key takes and summary. And we have a chat prepared, which we will share with you.
Wonderful. So this whole full text of this survey and the findings in multiple slides, beautifully designed by Kavita and Saizen Global team, will be available from tomorrow on our websites. We'll officially release all over, particularly the media, who have shown a lot of interest and curiosity. Congratulations again, Kavita, for this India Vaccine, SCENE, vaccine survey. the first edition. I would say the first edition because maybe many of them would follow as we move forward with our journey to fight as COVID fighters, to fight COVID and make COVID run away from our scene, or at least get rid of COVID in the near future, which I don't think looks very likely to actually get rid of it. But there's a hope. That is one of the very important message of this survey, India Vaccine Survey, that there's a great hope. There's a faith in vaccination. There's a faith in the information from the right sources coming on. People are ready to adopt to this country scenario, that is what you call beautifully as before COVID and after COVID, BC and AC scenario. AC people have got used to, they are adopting to it. There have been challenges, but people understand it wisely that these challenges can be overcome by taking the right kind of precautions, steps, going for vaccination, believing in the right kind of education, information, depending on the experts who are more informed and who are more the credible sources like WHO, ICMR, AIMS, and of course our PMO and the government have done phenomenally well as it comes out while tackling at least the tackling, if not COVID, then tackling the perception of the fear
exactly. And also I would say that we have done a good job on at least dealing with infodemic.
Yeah, I would say yes, because I have gone deeply into it. We have Dr. Nandini Sharma and a lot of other public health experts. They would also agree that I believe US and Europe, they were more fanatics of infodemic champions, I would say.
Then pandemic, yes.
We don't have any one infodemic champion to name.
Yes.
Here and there, people popping in to show their brevity for it, but there's no infodemic champion. That's good part for about it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Kavita. Thank you. Congratulations again for your 10 years of excellent insight and survey and strategic work you have been doing on multiple areas. We will keep working on with Heal Foundation. We'll keep working on healthcare insight on various.
It's like our part of giving back to the society, because it's been for me the 20 years of journey, professional journey, and it's time to kind of giving back to the society.
After COVID, that is AC period, this is our new beginning together, and we keep collaborating more on getting
and all the best. Thank you, Swadeep and team, so much for believing in us and giving us this platform, because we were just we just out of curiosity did the survey and we wanted someone to kind of talk about it, and thank you so much.
It was beautiful. I think it will be very useful for all the readers, people, and everywhere it goes in terms of creating the right perception and the right mood. Over to you, Shankar sir. We start with the next session, our session intro video, and over to Shankar sir and Kishorji for our next episode. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sudhir. Thank you, Kavita, for the wonderful survey. And we'll now move on to the next session. Before that, we have the session intro video. Welcome back. We now move on to session 3, another important session on vaccination conundrum, vaccination challenges and road ahead. And for this, we have with us Professor Naresh Gupta, the former director, Professor Maulana Azad Medical College. He's currently the medical consultant at MIMS and advisor at Lok Naik Hospital, New Delhi. Also with us is Professor Nandini Sharma, who's currently working as Director Professor in the Department of Community Medicine, Maulana Azad Medical College. She has been a faculty member in the community medicine for more than 30 years. She's also a member of several expert committees constituted by the Union Ministry of Health and Family Welfare and Ministry of Environment and Forests. Dr. Sharma, Professor Sharma, I have clarified my doubt on environment and forest. She's also the chairperson of several expert committees constituted by the government of NCT New Delhi. We were supposed to have with us Dr. Raman Nair, but he had an emergency, and so he will not be attending this session. And last but not the least, we have Dr. Charu Kalra, who's a pediatrician at Max Noida. She's also a certified lactation professional who has been practicing pediatrics for the past 12 years. She has worked extensively on breastfeeding and lactation. Glad to have you back on our show, Dr. Kalra. Over to you, Kishore, for the first round of questions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Shankar. And good morning, everyone. मेरा पहला सवाल डॉक्टर नरेश गुप्ता से है। डॉक्टर साहब, ये लगभग तय हो गया है और अब डॉक्टर भी मानने लगे हैं कि वैक्सीनेशन कोविड को प्रिवेंट नहीं करता है, कोविड इन्फेक्शन को सीवियरिटी भले कम करे, प्रिवेंट नहीं करता है। तो क्या ये माना जाए कि वैक्सीनेशन को, जो वैक्सीनेशन प्रोग्राम है, उसको जरूरत से ज्यादा दुनिया भर में हाइप किया गया है? अनम्यूट कर लीजिए सर।
Very good morning. Thank you, Kishore Malviya ji. Thank you, Mr. Shankar. And thank you, Health4All, for connecting me with this 20th episode. ये जो आपका सवाल है कि क्या कुछ ज़्यादा हाइप कर दिया है जब ये प्रिवेंट नहीं कर रहा है, उसमें हमको एक चीज़ समझनी चाहिए कि कोई भी वैक्सीन 100% प्रोटेक्शन देती है, ये बड़ा रेयरली होता है। जितनी वैक्सीन होती है वो आपको अच्छी प्रोटेक्शन देती हैं, लेकिन उसकी बार बार जरूरत पड़ती है। अब देखिए, इन्फ्लुएंजा जो कि कोविड से रिलेटेड है, उसकी वैक्सीन सदियों, कई दशकों से चल रही है, 50 साल से तो चल रही है, और उसको भी बार बार देनी पड़ती है। पोलियो की वैक्सीन है, वो भी देनी पड़ती है। लेकिन किशोर जी, ये भी ध्यान रखिए कि स्मॉल पॉक्स को इरेडिकेट करने के बाद, जो कि एक वायरस की इन्फेक्शन थी और वो वैक्सीन ने इरेडिकेट करा था, अब पोलियो की बारी आ रही है। अब नजर आ रहा है कि वो इरेडिकेट होगा। लेकिन अगर हम ये कहें कि पोलियो की वैक्सीन आपको बार बार हर बार देनी है, तो वो उचित नहीं होगा। कोविड की वैक्सीन और इन्फ्लुएंजा की वैक्सीन, इसमें थोड़ा कनंड्रम है। जो हमारे वायरस होते हैं वो दो तरह के होते हैं, एक डीएनए वायरस होता है, एक आरएनए वायरस होता है। जो डीएनए वो डबल स्ट्रैंडेड होता है, अगर एक स्ट्रैंड में कोई मिसचीफ हो जाए, म्यूटेशन आ जाए, तो दूसरा स्ट्रैंड उसको कवर कर लेता है। कोविड का वायरस सिंगल स्ट्रैंड का आरएनए वायरस है, और इसमें अगर कोई म्यूटेशन आ जाए तो एक तरह से वो बहरूपिया बन जाता है, अपना रूप बदल के बॉडी के अंदर आता है, और उस केस में सारी प्रोटेक्शन नहीं मिल सकती है। और ये जो है म्यूटेशन जिसको हम कहते हैं, ये कोविड में बड़ा कॉमन है। समझ लीजिए हर 15 दिन में एक हो जाता है। इन्फ्लुएंजा में उससे भी ज्यादा है, HIV में उससे भी ज्यादा है। तीनों आरएनए वायरस है। आरएनए वायरस की खासियत है कि वो बहरूपिया होता है और रूप बदलता है। ऐसी हालत में जो वैक्सीन है, वैक्सीन बड़ी प्रिसाइज होती है। अगर ये पेन है और इसको मारना है तो इसी को जाके टारगेट करेगी, लेकिन अगर इसमें इसका कैप थोड़ा सा भी बदल जाएगा तो उसको नहीं टारगेट कर पाएगी। तो वैक्सीन की थोड़ी दिक्कतें होती है। हैविंग सेड इट, लेकिन मैं उसके बाद ये जरूर कहना चाहूंगा, आपको ध्यान होगा पिछले साल जब WHO ने बात करी थी, विश्व स्वास्थ्य संगठन ने, उन्होंने कहा था कि अगर वैक्सीन 50% एफिकेशियस भी हो गई, उसकी 50%, तो भी हमारे लिए ठीक है, क्योंकि ये प्रकोप महामारी ऐसी है। 50 नहीं, जितनी वैक्सीन बनी है सारी की सारी उससे बहुत आगे है। 70-80 को पीछे पछाड़ के वो 90 के पॉजिटिव्स में जा रही है। अब उसकी एफिकेसी को देखने के लिए एक तो जो हमारे साइंटिफिक स्टडी है उसमें प्रूव हो गया कि बहुत एफिकेशियस है, लेकिन जो आप कह रहे हैं वो दो बातों पर निर्भर करता है कि ये जो वैक्सीन आपने ली और फिर भी इन्फेक्शन हो गया, ब्रेक थ्रू इन्फेक्शन जिसको कहते हैं, उसके दो कारण होते हैं। एक होता है कि इंसान में तो कोई कमी नहीं आ गई है जिसकी वजह से दूसरी इन्फेक्शन आ रही है, और दूसरा ये होता है कि वायरस में तो कोई ज्यादा पावर नहीं आ गई है कि वो आपको तंग कर रहा है। तो साइंस में ये देखने को मिला है कि दोनों में ही सच है। जो इंसान है उसकी वैक्सीन थोड़ी सी कमजोर होती है, लेकिन उससे ज्यादा जो वायरस है वो म्यूटेशन से एक ऐसी पावर लेके आता है कि वो उस वैक्सीन की जो प्रोटेक्शन है उसको इवेड कर पाता है। तो ये वैक्सीन में कोई दुविधा नहीं होनी चाहिए, और वैक्सीन का काम सबसे पहले, जैसे मेडिकल साइंस का है, सबसे पहले डेथ को प्रिवेंट करना है, जिंदगी को का उसमें रखना है। अब आप देखिए जो 3 हमारी लहरें आई हैं उसमें जो आखिरी लहर आई है वो तो इतनी हल्की निकल गई कि लोगों को लगने लगा कि हमें वैक्सीन की क्या जरूरत है, मास्क की क्या जरूरत है, जो कि गलत था। क्योंकि ये लहर माइल्ड इसीलिए आई क्योंकि पीछे की जो 2 वैक्सीन मिली थी उससे फायदा हुआ, कमजोर बीमारी हुई। इनफैक्ट ओमिक्रॉन में तो 3 में से 2 को कोई सिम्टम ही नहीं थे, आईसीयू में जाने की तो बात ही रेयर हो गई थी। तो ये वैक्सीन बड़ी कारगर वैक्सीन है और इसको हमें अंडरमाइन नहीं करना चाहिए, और ये बड़ा अच्छा प्रोटेक्शन है।
डॉक्टर, इसी से जुड़ा हमारा अगला सवाल है। जैसे कि आपने कहा कि सीवियरिटी इससे कम, इस वैक्सीन की वजह से कम हुई है, क्या कोई स्टडी हुई है इस बारे में कि सीवियरिटी से इसकी वजह से कम हुई? क्योंकि हमने देखा है कि डबल डोज लेने वाले की भी मौत हुई है, वो भी ऑक्सीजन पे गए हैं, ऐसे कई केसेस आए हैं, कम हुए होंगे लेकिन ऐसे केसेस आए हैं। तो क्या कोई स्टडी हुई है कि वैसे भी आपने जैसे बताया कि ओमिक्रॉन वैसे ही कमजोर वेरिएंट हुआ है, तो उसकी वजह से भी, तो क्या सीवियरिटी कम हुई है वैक्सीन की वजह से? इसकी कोई स्टडी हुई है?
देखिए, इसकी स्टडीज दुनिया भर में हुई हैं। हमारे यहाँ भी बहुत बड़ा देश है, इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, हम जूझ रहे थे लेकिन फिर भी हमने इतनी अच्छी तरह से इसको कंट्रोल करा। जो डेवलप्ड नेशंस हैं, यूरोपियन नेशंस हैं, अमेरिकन नेशंस हैं, उनमें इतनी अच्छी स्टडी हुई है कि जब ये दोबारा से ये वापस आया कोविड डेल्टा में, तो उसके बाद ये देखा गया कि जो आईसीयू में मरीज जाते थे वो 90% वो होते थे जिन्होंने वैक्सीन नहीं ली है। 90% वो होते थे जिन्होंने वैक्सीन नहीं ली है, कोमॉर्बिड कंडीशन है। जब वैक्सीन नहीं आई थी सब लोग आईसीयू में जा रहे थे, लेकिन उसमें मौत किसी को हो रही थी, किसी को नहीं हो रही थी। तो अब अगर आप देखेंगे उसके बाद कि आपको 90% प्रोटेक्शन आई है आईसीयू जाने से या वेंटिलेटर पे जाने से, तो उसमें अगर 10% बच जाते हैं जिन्होंने वैक्सीन ली है, तो उसको आप लेके ये नहीं कह सकते देखो फला इन फला 10 में से जो है 10 में से एक व्यक्ति की तो डेथ हो गई। अरे भाई 9 को बचाया भी तो है ना। और उसके ऊपर जो रिसर्च अभी और नई आई है उसमें ये भी आया है, क्योंकि ये बहरूपिया है, ये जो वायरस है कोविड का, इसमें अगर आपकी वैक्सीन पूरी लगती है तो जो पुरानी वैक्सीन लगाते हैं आप, उसके बाद बूस्टर डोज लगाते हैं या उसके बाद प्रिकॉशनरी डोज लगाते हैं, तो आपका जो दायरा है प्रोटेक्शन का, एक तो वो लंबा हो जाता है, 3 महीने से बढ़ के 8 महीने हो जाएगा, और दूसरा उसका दायरा सिर्फ लंबाई में नहीं बढ़ता है, उसका दौरा चौड़ाई में ही बढ़ता है। चौड़ाई का मतलब है कि जो म्यूटेशंस नई नई आने वाली हैं या आ चुकी हैं उनसे भी बचाव देता है। तो वॉशिंगटन की एक बड़ी अच्छी स्टडी है कि अगर किसी को 2 वैक्सीन लग गई है, 3 वैक्सीन लग गई हैं, या 2 वैक्सीन और 1 इन्फेक्शन है, उसकी इम्यूनिटी सुपर इम्यूनिटी हो जाती है, और वही देखने को आ रहा है हमारे को।
थैंक यू डॉक्टर साहब, आप हमारे साथ बने रहिए, हम दोबारा लौटेंगे आपके पास। मेरा अगला सवाल प्रोफेसर डॉक्टर नंदिनी शर्मा से है। नंदिनी जी, क्या मास वैक्सीनेशन म्यूटेशन का चांस बढ़ाता है?
ये एक बहुत बड़ा कॉनंड्रम है जिसे आप पिक कर रहे हैं। मास वैक्सीनेशन से जो आर्टिकल्स इस पे पब्लिश हुए उनको कुछ मिस इंटरप्रेट किया गया है। म्यूटेशन का, जैसे अभी डॉक्टर नरेश गुप्ता ने समझाया कि म्यूटेशन आरएनए वायरस में होता ही है, और जितना ये ज्यादा रहेगा शरीर में उतने ही म्यूटेशंस के ज्यादा चांसेस हैं। अगर अनवैक्सीनेटेड इंडिविजुअल है तो उसमें ये चांसेस ज्यादा होंगे, और मास वैक्सीनेशन से म्यूटेशन बढ़ने का चांस इस तरह से हो सकता है कि जो अनवैक्सीनेटेड लोग हैं वो इन्फेक्ट होंगे, उनके अंदर ज्यादा दिन तक वायरस जब सर्वाइव करेगा, जितना ज्यादा सर्वाइव करेगा, जो रेट बता रहे थे डॉक्टर साहब, तो हर 15 दिन में अगर म्यूटेट करेगा तो स्पेशली जो अनवैक्सीनेटेड और ऐसा वाला है जिसे कोई इम्यूनो कॉम्प्रोमाइज डिजीज है, तो उसमें ये म्यूटेशंस ज्यादा होंगी और इसलिए जो नए नए वेरिएंट्स हैं वो इमर्ज करेंगे। तो मास वैक्सीनेशन हम 100% तो कर नहीं पा रहे हैं ना, तो मास वैक्सीनेशन से ये एसोसिएटेड हो गई बात, जिसे हम स्पूरियस एसोसिएशन कह सकते हैं, कि म्यूटेंट्स की इमर्जेंस, और स्पेशली एक और भी चीज है इसमें कि जो वैक्सीनेटेड होता है उसके अंदर भी इन्फेक्शन से तो बचाव नहीं करती ना वैक्सीन, तो इन्फेक्शन होगा उसमें, और इन्फेक्शन होगा तो उसमें भी एक चांस है म्यूटेंट के इमर्ज होने का। लेकिन जो अगर हम मास वैक्सीनेशन बहुत हाई उसकी लेवल की कर देते हैं तो म्यूटेंट्स भी नुकसान नहीं पहुंचा पाएंगे। इसलिए मास वैक्सीनेशन को किसी भी तरह से कंडेम करना किसी भी कारण से सही नहीं है। ये जो एंटी वैक्सर्स हैं ये किसी भी पॉइंट को पिक करके उसे ट्विस्ट करके, क्योंकि स्टैटिस्टिक्स तो आप देखिए ऐसी चीज है जिसे आप कुछ भी प्रूव कर सकते हैं, तो वो इस तरह से इसे प्रूव करते हैं कि मास वैक्सीनेशन से म्यूटेशंस ज्यादा हो रही हैं, लेकिन म्यूटेशंस जब तक वायरस रहेगा तब तक होंगी, उसमें मास वैक्सीनेशन से फर्क इस तरह से नहीं पड़ने वाला। लेकिन एट द सेम टाइम हमें याद रखना है कि वैक्सीनेशन से आप इन्फेक्शन से बचाव नहीं होता अक्सर, तो जब वैक्सीनेशन से भी इन्फेक्शन होगा तो उसमें भी जब वायरस ग्रो करेगा तो म्यूटेशंस तो उसमें भी पॉसिबल हैं, ये फैक्ट है।
मैम, हमने कहीं एक रिपोर्ट पढ़ी थी कि कोविड से रिकवर होने के बाद भी और बहुत हल्के ढंग से इन्फेक्शन के बाद रिकवर होने के बाद भी कई वीक बाद भी कोई ना कोई ऑर्गन प्रभावित हुआ है, और यहाँ तक देखा गया कि 13 वीक के बाद हार्ट डैमेज हुआ है, ऐसे कुछ केसेस आए हैं। तो इसकी कितनी संभावना है और क्यों है?
कि लॉन्ग कोविड जिसे हम कह रहे हैं और ऑर्गन डैमेज जो है इसकी संभावना है, डेफिनेटली है, और सेकेंड वेव में जो डेल्टा था उसके साथ बहुत ज्यादा हुई। एग्जैक्ट स्टैटिस्टिक्स डिफरेंट स्टडीज में डिफरेंट आए हैं, कितने लोगों को लॉन्ग कोविड हुआ है, स्टडीज स्टिल ऑन है, WHO की यूनिटी प्रोटोकॉल्स भी इस पे चली हैं, और ये संभावना तो रहती है क्योंकि ये मल्टी ऑर्गन डैमेज कर रहा है। इसका जैसे पैनक्रियास में भी पता लगा है, तो डायबिटीज जो हो रही है वो काफी लोगों को हुई है, स्टेरॉइड्स देने के बाद हुई है, हार्ट का जो इफेक्ट है वो भी अब काफी पता लगा है कि हो रहा है। अब ये जो मल्टी ऑर्गन डैमेज है ये तो इसका एक नेचर है, और ये इवॉल्विंग डिजीज है, इसलिए एग्जैक्टली स्पेसिफिकली किसी ने शायद पता नहीं लगाया है अभी तक कि कौन सा डैमेज ऑर्गन होगा। अभी भी स्टडीज आर ऑन, कौन से रिस्क फैक्टर्स हैं जिनके साथ डैमेज होने के ज्यादा चांसेस हैं, जैसे एल्डरली एज ग्रुप है या यंगस्टर्स में भी हैं, तो वो जेनेटिक फैक्टर्स भी पता लगाए जा रहे हैं, ब्लड ग्रुप के टाइप के साथ भी कई सारे फैक्टर्स पता लगाए गए हैं। लेकिन ऑर्गन डैमेज एक पॉसिबिलिटी है, इसे डिनाई नहीं किया जा सकता। कोविड के ठीक होने के बाद भी ये हो रही है, ये भी एक सही बात है, इसीलिए कोविड इतनी खतरनाक बीमारी है। और क्योंकि इवॉल्विंग डिजीज है इसलिए पूरी पिक्चर क्लियर नहीं है, जैसे हम नेचुरल हिस्ट्री ऑफ डिजीज कहते हैं, जब कोई बीमारी होती है और वो अपने नेचुरल कोर्स में चलती है बिना किसी दवा दिए बिना किसी इंटरवेंशन के, उसे नेचुरल हिस्ट्री कहते हैं। फर्स्ट वेव में हमने काफी इसकी नेचुरल हिस्ट्री देखी है, तो उसमें इसकी एक का कंपोनेंट ही है कि ये सिर्फ सही होने के बाद, सिम्टम्स हटने के बाद ये नहीं हम सोच सकते कि ये ठीक हो गया, हमें फॉलो अप फिर भी करना है पेशेंट्स का, क्योंकि ये मल्टी ऑर्गन डैमेज पॉसिबल है इसमें, इसीलिए वैक्सीनेशन और इम्पोर्टेंट है।
डॉक्टर नंदिनी शर्मा, हमारा ये शो यूट्यूब और फेसबुक पर दुनिया भर में लाइव देखा जा रहा है और काफी सवाल भी आ रहे हैं। एक सवाल हमारे पास आया है किसी व्यूअर का, जो वो ये कह रहे हैं कि अमेरिका में कोई रिपोर्ट आई है जिसके अनुसार वो कोई स्टडी अभी तक नहीं हुई जो ये बता सके कि मास्क वायरस प्रिवेंट करता है, और ये बाजार के दबाव में सिर्फ मास्क को एक होली थिंग बना दिया गया है। कितनी सच्चाई इसमें?
साइंटिफिक स्टडीज को पहले, जैसे मैंने आई थिंक लास्ट टाइम भी बोला था, पहले सिर्फ साइंटिस्ट पढ़ा करते थे, लेकिन इस पैंडेमिक ने हर किसी को एपिडेमियोलॉजिस्ट बना दिया, चाहे वो कोई भी स्पेशलिस्ट हो मेडिसिन का, और कोई भी जो अपना जर्नलिस्ट हो, कोई ब्यूरोक्रेट हो, सभी एपिडेमियोलॉजिस्ट बन गए, क्योंकि वो सारी साइंटिफिक स्टडीज पब्लिक डोमेन में आ गई। अब देखिए, साइंटिफिक स्टडी जब होती है तो उसका निष्कर्ष इस तरह से नहीं निकलता कि मुझे आज एक चीज पता लगी तो मैं कह दूं ये गॉस्पेल ट्रूथ है। काफी सारी स्टडीज की जाती हैं, और उसके बाद एक मेटा एनालिसिस, सिस्टमैटिक रिव्यूज, मेटा एनालिसिस जिसे हम कहते हैं, उन स्टडीज को देखा जाता है और फिर कुछ निष्कर्ष निकलता है जिसमें समय लग जाता है। ये बीमारी अभी 2 साल पुरानी है। एक स्टडी आई थी पहले जिसमें मास्क का कोई यूज नहीं है, ये भी निकला था, ये भी प्रूव कर दिया गया था कि मास्क इनफैक्ट कोई फायदा देता ही नहीं है। ये यूएस की ही स्टडी थी। कुछ स्टडीज ऐसी थी जिनमें ये पता लगा कि मास्क का फायदा है। आपको हर स्टडी में बहुत क्रिटिकली रिव्यू करना पड़ता है और जब ये सिस्टमैटिक रिव्यू एंड मेटा एनालिसिस किए जाते हैं तो उनमें स्ट्रेंथ देखी जाती है, आरसीटीज को सबसे ऊपर रखा जाता है और फिर उसका पता लगाया जाता है कि ये कौन सी हम क्या इसका वो निकाले कंक्लूजन जिसे जनरल पब्लिक तक भी पहुंचाया जाए और जिसे अब हम ऐसा मानते हैं और फिर टेक्स्ट बुक्स में आ जाती है वो चीज। लेकिन एक 2 साल पुरानी बीमारी में एकदम से ये कह देना कि एक साइंटिफिक स्टडी ये कह रही है तो आप इसे मान लीजिए, ये सही नहीं होगा।
आपकी इस बात से एक जोक याद आ गया जो आजकल मार्केट में बहुत प्रचलित है कि एक मेडिकल साइंटिस्ट से किसी ने पूछा कि सर ये बताइए कि ये पेंडेमिक कब तक चलेगा, तो साइंटिस्ट ने कहा कि हाउ कैन आई से आई एम नॉट अ जर्नलिस्ट।
You're right. Yes. It's a good thing. It's good कि कोई साइंटिफिक नॉलेज का इस तरह से परकुलेट होना, लेकिन उसको साइंटिफिक टेम्परामेंट को डेवलप करना उसके साथ बहुत जरूरी है।
ठीक डॉक्टर शर्मा, हम आपसे फिर भी बात करेंगे, अभी आप बने रहिए हमारे साथ। डॉक्टर चारू कालरा 2 महीने पहले यानी 21 दिसंबर 2021 को नेशनल टेक्निकल एडवाइजरी ग्रुप ऑफ इम्यूनाइजेशन ने सरकार को सुझाव दिया था कि बच्चों को वैक्सीन की जरूरत नहीं है, और इस रिपोर्ट के ठीक 3 दिन बाद सरकार ने घोषणा कर दी कि 12 से 15 साल के बच्चों को, 15 साल तक के बच्चों को ये दिया जाए। अब ये चर्चा हो रही है कि 15 साल से नीचे के बच्चों को भी, 12 से 15 के बीच के बच्चों को भी वैक्सीन दिया जाए। आपकी क्या राय है?
ये बहुत ही एप्ट क्वेश्चन है। सो एक्चुअली होता क्या है कि हमें पहले ये देखना पड़ेगा कि बच्चों में कोविड क्यों नहीं हुआ। आपकी बात, जैसे सेकेंड वेव के अंदर बड़ों में इतना कोविड था और उसी घर में बच्चे रह रहे थे और बहुत ही कम बच्चे जो थे वो सिक हुए। जो बच्चे बहुत सिक हुए वो या तो क्रोनिक एस्मा से पीड़ित थे, या वो बच्चे इम्यूनो कॉम्प्रेस थे, या देवर ऑन स्टेरॉइड्स, या उनको नेफ्रोटिक सिंड्रोम था। अदरवाइज इन जनरल यही देखा गया था कि नहीं, बच्चों में ज्यादा नहीं होता। तो इसका रीजन क्या था? इसका वन ऑफ द रीजंस, देयर आर मेनी फैक्टर, बहुत सारे रीजंस है। एक है कि बच्चों के नोज में वो रिसेप्टर्स नहीं पाए जाते जो कि कोविड को ट्रांसमिट करते हैं। दूसरा रीजन जो बहुत बड़ा रीजन है, क्योंकि 5 साल तक बच्चे बहुत तरह की वैक्सीन रिसीव कर रहे होते हैं। जो हमारा नेशनल और इंटरनेशनल शेड्यूल है उसके अंदर बच्चे लाइव वैक्सीन, किल्ड वैक्सीन सब ले रहे होते हैं, जो कि धीरे धीरे कम होता जाता है। तो 5 साल से 18 साल के बच्चे ज्यादा इन्फेक्ट होते हैं कोविड से, और इसी वजह से इन जर्नल एक स्टेटमेंट जारी किया गया था कि बच्चे बहुत इन्फेक्ट नहीं हो रहे हैं, या अगर इन्फेक्ट हो भी रहे हैं तो एसिम्प्टोमेटिक है, या फिर दे आर माइल्ड सिम्टम्स जो कि अपने आप ठीक हो रहे हैं। बट ये देखा गया है कि नाउ ये जैसे जैसे वायरस म्यूटेट हो रहा है, ये माइल्ड बन रहा है, पर ये बच्चों को भी इन्फेक्ट कर रहा है। और क्योंकि इसका ये कंटेजियस ज्यादा हो रहा है, इसका स्प्रेड ज्यादा हो रहा है, तो इन केस में ये एडवाइस किया जा रहा है कि हम बच्चों को भी वैक्सीन देना शुरू करें। बिकॉज ये देखा गया है कि जो पहले वैक्सीन थी, नॉन कोविड वैक्सीन की बात हो रही है, जो पहले वैक्सीन हुए, जैसे MMR वैक्सीन रिसीव करी है, हेपेटाइटिस ए रिसीव करी है, इन्फ्लुएंजा, इवन वो भी इनडायरेक्टली बच्चों को कोविड की इन्फेक्टिविटी को कम करने में हेल्प कर रही है। तो यहाँ तो हम कोविड वैक्सीन की बात कर रहे हैं। तो इसलिए 15 साल से ज्यादा बच्चों के लिए अभी, बिकॉज टेस्टिंग चल रही है 15 साल से कम बच्चों में, तो वो हमें बता दिया गया है कि आप 15 साल से बड़े बच्चों में वैक्सीन देनी है। इसका सेकंड रीजन ये भी है क्योंकि 15 साल से ज्यादा बड़े बच्चों का एक्सपोजर भी बहुत है, दे आर हाईली एक्सपोज्ड टू द एनवायरमेंट। तीसरा थिंग ये देखा गया है कि अब क्योंकि वायरस बार बार म्यूटेट कर रहा है और अब हम वर्क कर रहे हैं हर्ड इम्यूनिटी पर भी। सो वी आर वर्किंग ऑन के और भी जितने लोग वैक्सीनेट होते जाएंगे उतना हम चांसेस ऑफ स्प्रेड कम करते जाएंगे। तो एट द एंड ऑफ द डे अगर 15 साल से देन लेट्स कम टू 10-12 इयर्स तब तक आ जाएंगे, तो जितने लोग की बॉडी में एंटीबॉडीज डेवलप हो जाएंगे उतने लोग कम इन्फेक्टिविटी स्प्रेड करेंगे। तो ये
एज अ चेन रिएक्शन ऑल्सो इट इज ये रिकमेंडेड है कि हम 15 साल वाले बच्चों को तो एटलीस्ट वैक्सीनेट कराएं। सेकेंडली अब वायरस म्यूटेट हो रहा है तो दिन ब दिन वो चेंज होता है, हमें नहीं पता, अब वो शायद छोटे बच्चों को ज्यादा इन्फेक्ट करना शुरू करें एंड ऑल। तो जब अवेलेबिलिटी है वैक्सीन की तो वो क्यों ना दें हम। एंड ये देखा गया है, मतलब हम लोगों ने ओवर अ पीरियड ऑफ लास्ट 10 years देयर हैड बी बहुत सारी स्टडीज हैं, ये देखा गया है कि पहले पेरेंट्स हमेशा क्वेश्चन करते थे नहीं इन्फ्लुएंजा का इंजेक्शन लगवाना ही नहीं लगवाना, खांसी जुकाम तो होता ही है, बट अब पेशेंट्स ही बताते हैं कि चांसेस ऑफ एस्थमा इतना कम हो गया उन बच्चों में, एलर्जिक रिएक्शन कम हो गए हैं, निमोनिया के चांसेस इतने कम हो गए हैं। नरेश सर ने मेंशन किया था स्मॉल पॉक्स के बारे में, इवन चिकन पॉक्स, आप लोग सब एग्री करेंगे जो लोग 70s और 80s में बॉर्न हुए हैं, हम सबको इतना बुरा चिकन पॉक्स हुआ था, वो 7 days घर में रहना। और अब इन प्राइवेट सेटअप अपने क्लिनिक में हम साल में 4 से 5 मैक्सिमम केसेस ऑफ चिकन पॉक्स देते हैं, वो भी उन बच्चों को देखते हैं जो वैक्सीनेटेड नहीं भी होते। तो इतना अच्छा इफेक्ट है वैक्सीन का, तो इसमें तो मतलब कोई डाउट ही नहीं है कि लगवानी है कि नहीं लगवानी बच्चों में। और एक बहुत छोटा सेटअप है स्टडीज का जो कि कहते हैं कि नहीं वैक्सीन से ऑटिज्म या एडीएचडी हो गया, तो ये बहुत ही वेग स्टडीज है, मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि वो बच्चे ने वैक्सीन लगाई और वो घर बैठ गया, बहुत सारे एनवायरमेंटल फैक्टर्स भी होते हैं जो बच्चों को और बीमारियों से ऑटिज्म हो गया, एडीएचडी, ऐसी बीमारियों के अगेन एक्सपोज करते हैं। तो सिर्फ वैक्सीन से कुछ चीज हो गई ये कहना बहुत ही मुश्किल होता है, इवन इन एनी काइंड ऑफ स्टडी।
डॉक्टर कालरा, एक चर्चा ये भी है कि शायद कोई स्टडी भी है कि जो यंगर जनरेशन है उनमें एडल्ट की अपेक्षा विटामिन डी डेफिशिएंसी 4 गुना ज़्यादा है, बहुतों में, ज़्यादातर केसेस में। क्या ये डेफिशिएंसी बच्चों को वायरस प्रोन बनाती है?
किशोर जी, ऐसा कोई डायरेक्ट लिंक तो नहीं है, बट बिल्कुल ये तो है ही, अब ये तो हम सबको ही पता चल गया है। और जैसे कि मैम ने बोला है कि आजकल सब कुछ इतना इजीली अवेलेबल है कि सबको पता है कि हमें अगर अपनी इम्यूनिटी को बढ़ाना है तो विटामिन डी, विटामिन सी और जिंक लेना है। तो विटामिन डी जो होता है वो लंग प्रिवेंशन में हेल्प करता है, ना सिर्फ कोविड की बीमारी में, अदरवाइज ऑल्सो निमोनिया के केसेस में और लंग डिजीजेस में भी विटामिन डी प्रिवेंट करता है। जब हम छोटे बच्चों में डेफिशिएंसी की बात कर रहे हैं तो हम नॉर्मली उन बच्चों में बात करते हैं ये जो बच्चे मदर या ब्रेस्ट फीडिंग पे होते हैं, क्योंकि ब्रेस्ट फीडिंग वाले बच्चों के अंदर विटामिन डी का जो लेवल्स होता है वो माँ के विटामिन डी के लेवल पे डिपेंड करता है। और नॉर्मली देखा गया है कि ना तो हम धूप में जाते हैं, हम लोग के अमाउंट ऑफ विटामिन डी इवन इन एडल्ट्स आर लेस, तो इसलिए बिकॉज ऑफ मदर और स्पेशली जो बच्चे ब्रेस्ट फीडिंग पे होते हैं उनको सजेस्ट किया जाता है, आजकल तो इंटरनेशनल गाइडलाइंस है कि जैसे ही बच्चा पैदा होता है हम एटलीस्ट 1 साल तक सारे बच्चों को, चाहे वो कहीं भी बॉर्न हो, अंडर डेवलपिंग कंट्रीज में, 1 साल तक बच्चों को विटामिन डी की 400 इंटरनेशनल यूनिट की डोज रोज दी जाती है। एंड उसका कारण ही यही है क्योंकि हम नहीं पता कर सकते हैं कि छोटे बच्चों में कितना विटामिन डी लेवल्स है, और ये विटामिन डी लेवल्स जो होता है ये माँ के विटामिन डी लेवल्स पे डिपेंड करता है। सेकेंडली, अब एक्सपोजर टू सन बहुत कम हो गया है, सनलाइट इज वन ऑफ द मोस्ट मतलब कॉमनेस्ट सोर्सेज जिससे कि विटामिन डी जो है वो एक्टिव फॉर्म में आता है। और छोटे बच्चों का विटामिन डी एक्सपोजर कम हो जाना, और सेकेंडली इतना एसेसिबिलिटी नहीं होती है, बड़ों में बहुत इजी होता है टू एडवाइस फॉर अ टेस्ट, विटामिन डी का टेस्ट करा लें, हम छोटे बच्चों में अनटिल अनलेस कोई रिक्वायरमेंट होती है ब्लड टेस्ट रिकमेंड नहीं करते। तो ये इस वजह से हम नॉर्मली बच्चों को मेंटेनेंस डोज में सप्लीमेंट करते ही हैं विटामिन डी। और थैंकफुली छोटे बच्चों में विटामिन डी डेफिशिएंसी के सिम्टम्स भी जल्दी डेवलप हो जाते हैं, जैसे रिकेट्स बोला जाता है, या बोइंग ऑफ लेग्स हो जाती हैं, लेग्स, या बच्चा बहुत लेट चलना शुरू करता है, या जो उनके सर का तालू होता है वो बहुत टाइम तक बंद नहीं होता। तो उन सब में हम जल्दी असेस करके बच्चों को विटामिन डी ज्यादा दिया करते हैं। तो ये बिल्कुल सही बात है कि विटामिन डी डेफिशिएंसी बच्चों में ज्यादा होती है, पर ट्रीटमेंट भी हम उतना ही एग्रेसिवली कर रहे होते हैं बच्चों में।
थैंक यू चारू जी, आप हमारे साथ बने रहिए। आगे के सवाल जवाब के लिए हम हैंड ओवर करेंगे शंकर जी को, लेकिन उससे पहले हम देखते हैं हमने मैसेजेस डॉक्टरों के लिए हैं और वो हेल्थ रेजोल्यूशंस हमने बनाए हैं, तो देखते हैं कुछ डॉक्टरों के हेल्थ रेजोल्यूशंस।
we see lot many competitions happening over here day in day out. That is a spitting competition. So pan masala, where we talk about stop COVID, stop spreading COVID, wear mask. But what we see is he just low down his mask, he just spit in. How far his spat is going to go? That's the competition where we are all in. And one single cough releases 3,500 bacilli, bacteria of TB, which remain in air for good 45 to 48 minutes. And if your immune system is on the lower side, and if you happen to pass in that particular area, and if you inhale that particular air which is already having that bacterial load, and if your immune system is on the lower side, even you're going to have it. So just imagine the way we are traveling in local trains or buses. You never know next to you who is sitting exactly. Whether is he infected, whether is he having pulmonary TB. If yes, is he covering his face while coughing or sneezing? So my advice would be just small 3 steps. 1, cover your face while coughing and sneezing. Do not spit right, left and center. Have good high protein diet. Avoid gatherings.
जब भी कोई चीज फायदे की होती है या कोई नई बात आती है तो हर कोई उस पर लैच ऑन करके उसको ट्रेंडिंग बना देता है. नाउ थैंक्स टू इंटरनेट एंड सोशल मीडिया सब उस पे डिस्कशन शुरू हो जाता है. कई बार वो लोग उसके बारे में बात करते हैं जिनको ज्यादा पता भी नहीं होता उसके बारे में, तो वो थोड़ा सा मिसलीडिंग होता है. बट ऑफ कोर्स हमारे किचन्स एक सिंपल सा जो एक सबसे कॉमन फ्रेज है न्यूट्रिशन के बारे में वो ये है, ईट योर फूड एज योर मेडिसिन. और इसको हम अभी भी समझ नहीं पाए. अगर अपने खाने को अपनी दवा की तरह खाएं, दैट इज ऑल वी नीड टू स्टे हेल्दी. फिर मेडिसिन की बिल्कुल जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. और ये हम क्लिनिकली कर रहे हैं. वी आर एबल टू रिमूव मेडिसिन फ्रॉम पीपल्स लाइव्स by changing their food. और उसमें spices and herbs एक बड़ा component होते हैं. So definitely वो सही बात है, but हाँ उसको किस तरह से यूज करें इसके कुछ एक एग्जाम्पल मैं आपको दूंगी. जैसे कि हम लहसुन बोलते हैं जिसको गार्लिक. अगर आप लहसुन में एक एलिसिनिक कंपाउंड होता है जो कि एंटी कैंसर होता है, एंटी वायरल होता है, बट उसको अगर आप बहुत पका ले लहसुन को तो फिर वो डीनेचर हो जाता है. तो आइडियली हमें लहसुन को क्रश करके, जैसे हम पहले उसको चटनी में डालते थे या क्रश करके खाते थे जिससे वो ऑक्सीडाइज हो जाए एलिसिन, वैसे खाना चाहिए. तो वो छोटी छोटी जो हमारी कुकिंग टेक्निक्स की बारीकियां थी जो हमारे किचन में होता था, दैट वाज द राइट वे ऑफ ईटिंग आवर हर्ब्स एंड स्पाइसेस. ऐसा नहीं कि दूध की हल्दी ली और गर्म पानी में डाल के पी गए. दैट इज नॉट हाउ हल्दी वर्क्स. तो वो थोड़ा सा इंफॉर्मेशन होना जरूरी है.
air quality index, or the AQI as we call it, is at times much more severe than it is even in industrial zones. So as far as heart disease is concerned, there has been a definitive link established between particulates, especially those particulates that we call them as PM 2.5, that are less than 2.5 microns, because these particulates are able to deposit into the blood vessels and trigger off an inflammatory reaction, which can actually accelerate the development of significant coronary artery disease. And along with this theoretical aspect, we've even seen it practically, that we've had patients who live close to the highways, patients who live close to factories, where there is a lot of particulates in the air. And these people have been linked to having earlier onset of heart disease. So this is probably one emerging risk factor that we all need to be careful about, because it's been always there, but we just were never aware of it until the last 4 to 5 years. And even now, a lot of people are still not aware of this major risk factor, that air pollution is now becoming one of the leading causes of premature coronary artery disease in our country, especially so in the fast developed and developing parts of our cities, where there are a lot more industries coming up, a lot more constructions are going on, and a lot of vehicular traffic has developed. So these are areas where these particulate matters are present in unacceptable amounts, and very often we are not aware. So probably in that way, our this COVID coming in and having lockdowns and wearing masks in outdoors has helped us to actually reduce the burden of inhaling these particulates to a large extent. In fact, we've seen a lot of people who are having chronic allergies, chronic bronchitis and stuff, who are now feeling much more relieved just because they are wearing a mask every time they go out in society. So yeah, looking for the best in every situation probably, but yes, particulate matter is a fast emerging risk factor for heart disease, and it is become probably the leading cause of heart disease in our country.
Is there any study or data that shows early onset of heart ailments due to pollution, especially in the productive age group? What's your experience at KIMS?
Yes, sir, there is a study, but it's not an Indian study. It was published in Circulation around 2017 that specifically linked this particulate matter of having particulates of size less than 2.5 microns specifically to the onset of heart disease. And they basically compared people who were living on the highways or near industrial areas and who had a high burden of inhalation of these particulates versus those who did not. And they found that there was somewhere around a 10 to 15% greater chance in these people than in those who were not exposed to particulates.
Thank you and welcome back to the next round of questions. Dr. Gupta, you had just said that coronaviruses do multiply very fast, and it keeps mutating quite often. Now it looks like after the Omicron, the coronavirus has taken a winter break. Now, do you think that this is the end of it, or are we going to expect more variants to come in on the way, because people have started relaxing, no mask, enjoy parties, go on a vacation? So what's your take on that?
So that's a very, very valid question and very important for the public, Mr. Shankar. Let me start with two things. One is this coronavirus, if it is sitting on my table, if it is sitting on my pen, it's sitting anywhere, it can do nothing. It is totally impotent. It has to get into the human body to become mischievous. That's one. The second thing is the viruses, there are millions of viruses. Maybe 1 kg of our body is made up of bacteria and viruses. Majority of them are good viruses, good bacteria. There are only a couple of hundred that we know are causing disease to human beings. When you come to coronavirus has been with us for 6 decades. It has been with us for a couple of centuries, but 6 decades it's causing illness in human beings. And this illness that it causes is like the common cold. cold. In fact, how the science worked was when you were looking at common cold, but we know common cold, but in science, we want to know whether it's rhinovirus, myxovirus, respiratory syncytial virus. We could not figure out 10 to 15% cases of common cold as to which virus could be attributed to them. And they found out it was coronavirus. There are 4 variants of coronavirus that have been causing common cold every season. They come, hit and run is the kind of virus that they were, and they were all there. After that, they leave you. 2 or 3 of them have created havoc. One was in 2002-3 when what we knew as SARS, or we call it SARS-1, where the mortality was even higher than what we are seeing in SARS-2. Then there was this MERS, Middle Eastern Respiratory Syndrome. MERS was another corona variant which came in 2012-13 and would cause high mortality. Thankfully, it was not a pandemic. It was restricted to Middle East. These 2 big changes in 2002, 3 and 12 led scientists to do a lot of discovery and research. And they found out that if there is some mutation that happens in this coronavirus, it could become deadly. And there is one doctor, Dr. Vineet Manchari, he's an Indian but working in US. I think about 10 years back when he was working, he manipulated some of these viruses, and he says if such and such mutation comes, it could really become deadly. It's the kind that we are seeing in 2019, 20 and 21. Having said this kind of a history, it is anybody's guess which way it would evolve. Also, it is not in the interest of the virus to keep mutating. This virus, coronavirus, is not basically a human virus. We must understand that. It's basically a virus of the bats. There are thousands of varieties there. But because of the climate disturbances and human behavior, these bat virus gets into human beings, probably through a third animal in between, intermediate animal. And once it gets in, then it keeps going like that. But if we break this chain, it would come back to the old mild virus causing 10% of the infections. So it's anybody's guess, but my personal feeling is, having gone through it, this probably would settle down and take the so-called endemic form, or the kind of form which we have seen for 60 years. If it is not coronavirus mutation that becomes deadly tomorrow, it would be another virus. So I don't think we should think on that line. We should not think that virus is the only problem that we have. Virus has killed about close to 6 million, this COVID. But India has 7 million deaths every year. 6 million are recorded. And what Mr. Kishore Malviya also was referring to, when somebody has COVID and we say the elderly are more at risk, they are more at risk not because of COVID alone, it's also because of the comorbidities. So this virus probably would behave well, but I think we need a lesson to learn from it, and that is, vaccine is very good, medical vaccine, but social vaccine is even better. Let me recapitulate for everybody. Last 2 years, 2020 and 21, up to the middle or a little beyond middle, when we were all wearing masks, you condemn it or not, when we were wearing masks, nobody was getting the seasonal common cold. I did not see any patient. That's because this mask was very effective. And all these studies or whatever comes out has nothing to do with it. Because the mask, the N95 mask or the HEPA filter mask, we have been using in operation theaters for more than 60 years. The virus is only about 100, 120 microns. And this filter can do it, but we can't use that mask very comfortably. And if you don't use the appliance comfortably, it would not be protected. But this mask protects you from COVID, from TB, from 100 other bacteria, and as the doctor was saying, from air pollution, which is responsible for this. So I think the message is, if we change our lifestyle, wear mask, social distancing, very, very important. And we keep talking about immunity. Let me say that immunity, there is no medicine, nothing which can boost your immunity except a good lifestyle. Don't smoke. Smoking is very bad because COVID affects lungs and it affects lungs also. Alcohol, any quantity of alcohol will damage your liver. And once it damages the liver, liver is the actually immunity organ in human body. So don't let your liver be damaged. Third, take a balanced diet, as one of my co-participants said. And fourth, indulge in some regular physical activity. Yoga, walking, running, jogging, dancing, whatever you like. If you do it, this COVID or any other COVID or any other virus will not trouble you that much.
I'll move on to a slightly technical question, probably if you can answer it for the benefit of our viewers. Now, studies on T-cell responses indicate that individuals who have received 2 doses of vaccination, only a small decrease in ability to recognize variants. That happens. When a 3rd dose is given as a booster, the quantity and the ability to recognize more variants increases even when the vaccine given is based on ancestral variant. Now, however, the use of vaccines are based on the use of vaccines that are based on platforms different from the original platform used in the first dose results in greater increase, except of course when all 3 doses are of mRNA vaccines. What is your view?
See, these studies we must remember that the different parts of the world have got different vaccines approved. We still don't have a mRNA vaccine, even though we are likely to have a self-amplifying mRNA vaccine, which is better. But US has been using only mRNA vaccines. So these studies will get skewed because this study which you're talking about, 2 of them came from USA and they were using only that. They're not using any other vaccine. So I think that bias is natural. But there was a study in the journal Cell, which came from the Washington State University. It's a very nice study, similar to what you're speaking of. And what they looked at was, if somebody has taken 2 doses of vaccine, they get good immunity. But if somebody has taken 3 doses of vaccine, irrespective of which one is the 3rd one, and most of the time it was the mRNA, then it is super immunity. But what they also found out was, if somebody has 2 doses of vaccine, and 3rd is not a booster or a precautionary, but an infection. So infection plus 2 doses is also a super booster. So this was very clear. As for the spread, there was a very nice study that came out where what they did, they collected the sera they have these, the blood samples of 1980s. So when you look at those samples of 1980s and expose them to the coronavirus that occurred later, remember, I'm not talking about COVID, I'm talking about coronavirus, which is basically, COVID is one of the descendants. So when you hit them against those subsequent viruses, they said it is still able to tackle it. The point being that whatever is the immunity, it tends to become weak, all right, but it still is able to tackle new variants also. And same happens for influenza also. It is never 100%, but it keeps boosting and building up. So I think this idea of making a wider base with 3rd vaccine being mRNA or adenovector based or any other, these are the 2 common ones, or the infection, I think they are all equally effective. As for the immunity, COVID has also taught us a lot of things. When we look at the efficacy of a vaccine, the efficacy is looked at in 2 aspects. One is in the laboratory. And in laboratory, there are at least 5 or 6 arms that we should be studying. But the public knows we study the so-called antibodies. Everybody says, should I get my antibodies done? Antibodies are evanescent. We test them in the lab. We don't know how it will behave. So we come to the other cellular immunity. That is the liquid immunity. This is the solid immunity. T cells and B cells, you said, which we feel last about 8 months or even longer. In fact, we feel it is longer. Now remember, the body reacts in a given way to all viruses. If we take the case of, let's say, dengue virus, dengue has 4 variants, dengue 1, 2, 3, 4. If somebody has dengue, his immunity is lifelong because dengue does not mutate. So this benefit that is coming would come in irrespective of whether you take the 3rd dose as mRNA, adenovector, or infection.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll get back to you. Professor Nandini Sharma, my question to you would be, some experts, sorry for having kept you waiting for this long. Some experts have said that we should aim to have a pan-coronavirus vaccine that can tackle all variants and all future variants. How difficult is that? Because even a pan-flu virus has not materialized, though the work commenced in 2019. So what's your view on this?
You rightly said, since it hasn't happened in influenza, it's something similar which is happening here also. So we will possibly have lots of difficulties. And so far as current variants are concerned, maybe it may be easy, but future variants, how one can really predict and what kind of a vaccine is going to be developed, it's very difficult to predict. But so far as vaccination is concerned, I think one thing we need to take into consideration, what we need is a developed public health system. This virus will continue, the mutations will happen. The only thing is, like SARS did not spread was because the spread was avoided. You know, Chinese did not travel so much. In this case, it was that 5 million people who got out of Wuhan and spread it all over the world. So that spread means countries have to cooperate, not like in a war treaty, peace treaty or something. In a treaty, like WHO has done, something like CVR and that they've created, where we have intelligence sharing and we have a constant surveillance on the diseases, not just COVID, but lots others can also emerge like this. So the constant surveillance, if it is continued, you know, there may be a certain variant. It is possibly going to be endemic, as Dr. Naresh Gupta has pointed out. That is how the evolution has happened, specifically in the case of 1918 flu virus also. But if a sudden variant were to come, which is very lethal, people have to be prepared for it. Nations have to be prepared, just like we do for a war. This is a new war. So vaccine or no vaccine, that development, of course, has to go on side by side. The world has to wake up and see. And Vaishaw said many years ago, health is politics. So basically, that concept has to come in. We are not just focusing on curative medicine. We develop this kind of networks because otherwise, even a vaccine which is do for all is not going to be very effective. That's what, as a public health professional, I like to say.
I would quote a recent article. You know, this is another topic that I would like to ask you on by Professor Anand Krishna of AIMS, who said that vaccination has limited protection against infection and its transmission, reducing the arguments of harsh measures. Vaccination also has a small risk of serious adverse effects, whose identification and compensation mechanism are not clear. I want all Indians to be protected against COVID-19, but there is no justification for use of harsher approach, unquote. He goes on to say that harsh measures would never, ever succeed, like denying certain facilities to the unvaccinated, for example, denying them ration or pay for teachers, etc. What's your view on that?
Harsh measures never succeed. We know that. You see, that is what I said. Health is politics, which is, Vaishaw said it many, many years ago. And it is now, there for everyone to see. Harsh measures, even in family planning, didn't succeed. So harsh measures, when you try to manipulate the public to do something, health should be in people's hands. They should be responsible for their own health. When you try to impose, it's a very intimate human behavior. So harsh measures do not work. Yes, vaccines have a limited capability again, but that is what I'm saying, that, infections have happened, but vaccines have not prevented people from getting infected. And harsh draconian measures like forcing and those fines. So for a fine, what used to happen, people would just put on the mask when they saw a policeman around or whatever. So it in fact causes more harm because people then become resistant to these things. So that part I fully agree with them. Harsh draconian measures do not really help, do not help much at least, especially not in a democratic country because the courts are always there. So maybe they work in some other situations. And so far as the other question you asked was regarding the vaccine, right? He said the vaccine has limited capability.
He said yes. No, since that is a limited capacity, you should not have harsher measures. So you linked it to those.
Yeah, so its limited capability is right because we all know the efficacy is not 100%, but for respiratory viruses, you don't need more than 50% also, as WHO rightly said in the beginning. And these vaccines have all measured up to the standard. So far as specifically for children, I would like to add that wherever schools were open, Sweden and all, we did not see much problem. And again, what you said about Entagi, that, children should not be vaccinated. Most of us public health people did agree with that. But, maybe the nature of disease changed. And therefore, it was decided because infection, children are always infected. It has never been US, India, all studies have shown children were always infected. So this vaccination conundrum is a real conundrum. There are lots of issues in it. And those issues possibly cannot be decided only on a scientific and medical basis.
Right, I quite completely agree with your point that, instead of having nuclear treaties, I think we should have a treaty to prevent the spread of virus, a global treaty where probably there is surveillance, there is, a mechanism where you can alert other countries, and that can probably, Mars was an example of that. So I think that is key, important, especially when you have so many zoonotic cases of viruses jumping from animal population. Thank you very much, Dr. Gupta. And I think with that, you will agree that your Ministry of Forest will come to effect because you have viruses jumping from animals.
Yes, plague is an example, and
Yes.
6,37,000, I think, viruses are capable of jumping from animals to humans. It's a huge number.
I'll come to Dr. Kalra now. Now, a few experts have said that a decision on vaccinating healthy children should be deferred until complete data of trials are available. Also, data from additional vaccine adverse effects of high-risk children, which will accrue over a period of time, should be factored in. What are your views?
This is such an apt question for now, because many patients who are coming to me are always asking about what is the side effect of the vaccine. So all vaccines, for that matter, will have some or the other minor side effects. They are actually not the side effects; they are the effects in which way the vaccine is working. So that is the major concern most of the parents have. But this is how T cell response would be. The patient is going to have fever, some mild swelling at the vaccination site, some fever and redness around the area, which may settle in 2 to 3 days. But these are minor symptoms, and they should be taken as, okay, my body is developing immunity. So because of these minor symptoms, any kind of vaccination should not be deferred. Second thing is, the vaccination is being provided for healthy adults and healthy children only. Those who are sick would not be anyways given the medicines, the vaccines. So in that scenario, there are two school of thought. One school of thought says that anyways they're having less of infection, why to curb their natural immunity. But this is my personal opinion, and as a pediatrician, and most of the pediatricians would agree with me, that we only worry about the severity of the illness. So in cases when we are providing vaccine now, we are expecting this. Let's say a mutation comes again, and this time it's not that mild. At least these kids would be prevented from that, from getting the severity of infection. And everyone would agree here with me that after the second wave, we have learned this thing, that how important it is to not, going to that severe state. It's okay if we have the common, if the COVID passes like common cold and flu and mild fever, but we just worry about we should not get admitted into the hospital or land up with any kind of pneumonia, so as to say. So the vaccine is preventing here the severity of infection. So in my personal opinion, and most of the pediatricians would agree, any vaccine for that matter, yes, it prevents infection also, but as Nareshwar has mentioned, that it's never 100%. At least it reduces the severity of infection. So yes, we should go for vaccinations, but still there are a lot of studies which are coming up now, and I'm sure by 2022 we'll have a clear data on should we vaccinate children below 12 years or not. Because in that scenario also, I prefer that we should wait a little while, because they have their natural immunity with other vaccines. Especially those who are getting flu vaccines every year. So in those cases, even I prefer that we should wait for more data to come across and more patients to be enrolled for the vaccination researchers. But above 15 years, yes, because anyways they don't have any antibodies against flu also. Their regular vaccinations are almost done by 5 years of age. So they should be vaccinated in that scenario.
One question to you is, it is scientifically known that the rate of vaccines adverse events in general and COVID jams in particular are inversely proportional to age. So what's your view on this?
This is a very vague, vague data, if I must say, because every vaccine has different effect. Let's talk about a basic vaccine which has been called pain vaccine or painful vaccine or painless vaccination. So it depends upon how the vaccine is working. In terms of a vaccine like DPT, the adverse reactions are sometimes really severe in terms of a patient landing up with fever for 3 to 4 days. But in terms of vaccines, which are normally kill vaccines, which are just part of the DNA viruses, the reactions are very less. And the symptoms are very mild and they, settle only in 1 to 2 days. And again, I want to condemn this, this thing which has been going on, that we got vaccinated with, or our child got vaccinated with the corona vaccine, and third day he started developing fever which didn't settle, and then we landed up with corona infection. So it is because of the vaccine. The vaccine cannot cause. There is no live viruses which we are spreading, and that is a myth which has been circulating. So in no scenario a corona vaccine can cause corona infection, because these are not live vaccines. These are kill vaccines, or the part of the viruses. So as mentioned before, this is a breakthrough. Or maybe the patient has infected before, because it takes 2 to 3 weeks for the patient with the first dose also to develop at least 60% of antibodies in their body.
So I think we're running short of time. Thank you very much. I think this is a wonderful session, a lot of doubts being cleared. And of course, these are all ongoing studies. Nothing is very conclusive, because we are just 2-year-old in this virus. And what is proved today may not be true tomorrow. So we'll continue this dialogue. Thank you very much, Dr. Gupta. Thank you very much, Dr. Nandini Sharma. And thank you, Talra. Having this session with you was a really enriching experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for
We will now move on to quiz number 2. Quiz number 2 is, which of the following challenges does India face in vaccinating its population against major diseases? A, lack of awareness. B, vaccine hesitancy. C, misinformation on social media. And D, all the above. I will now give answers to both the quiz, and here are the answers. The quiz number 1 was, how does yoga help in boosting the body's immunity? And the answer is D, all the above listed, that is A, B, and C. Quiz number 2, which I just asked, was, which of the following challenges does India face in vaccinating its population against major disease? India is a large country, and so I think all the things are valid, and the right answer is D. Thank you very much for being with us, and I will now hand it over to my co-moderator, Kishore.
थैंक यू सर। तो आज के हेल्थ फॉर ऑल में इतना ही। कार्यक्रम में शामिल सभी डॉक्टरों, विशेषज्ञों का आभार व्यक्त करते हैं, जिन्होंने हमारा ज्ञानवर्धन किया। अपने दर्शकों का भी शुक्रिया अदा करते हैं, जिन्होंने हमारे साथ जुड़कर हमारा साथ दिया। हमारा अगला एपिसोड 6 मार्च को है, और 8 मार्च अंतर्राष्ट्रीय महिला दिवस यानी इंटरनेशनल वीमेंस डे है। इसलिए अगले एपिसोड को हमने महिलाओं को डेडिकेट किया है। महिलाओं की सेहत हमारी प्राथमिकता है, और उसके मार्ग में जो भी अवरोध है उसे हटाना हम सबका कर्तव्य है। तो 6 मार्च को मिलेंगे अपने स्पेशल एपिसोड में। तब तक के लिए नमस्कार।